What's going on, everybody? How you doing? Welcome to the Wednesday show. Let me go ahead and introduce the crew. We got Miss Aisha, Amira, Luis, Ash, Brittany Gold, and Mr. Hink, and myself, Lapeef JR. Welcome to the Wednesday show. What's going on, family? How y'all doing?
Hello, hello, everybody.
Hey, y'all sound dry. How y'all doing? It's almost Friday, man. We midway. It's hump day. Well, hump day is over now. We're going into Thursday now. What's going on, Ash? Long time no see.
Word, right? I don't know. I just needed a little mental break, but I'm back, y'all.
Okay. Glad. Oh, Brittany too. Welcome.
Hey, hey.
See you, Miss Red. You don't see too many people wear red lipstick, but looks
Oh,
nice.
that's my color right there. I love me some red lipstick.
Good for the soul. Got you.
Yeah.
Let's see. Who was that who just fell off? Somebody struggle streaming. It was Amir. Man, I try to stall for. If you guys haven't already hit that like button, also make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you catch this on replay, hit that like button, and also make sure you subscribe as well. We're gonna go ahead and get this show started with this icebreaker, and then hopefully Vez will be back on by then. Y'all ready? All right, here we go.
This is how the male psyche works. I don't care, argue with your mama, you take it or leave it, and that's why your motherfucking asses are in shit, because you're alfunong mamela. If you are obsessed about yourself, he becomes obsessed about you. If you're obsessed about him, trying to impress him, trying to check up on him, making sure he's okay, he's eating like his mama, guess who's he gonna be obsessed with? His damn self. So be wary. Every time you're trying to be the top-notch woman in his life, you're training him to focus more on himself in the relationship than you. And then you wonder, I'm literally watching a situation unfold in front of my eyes where a guy thinks he's the Beyonce of the group. Why? Because you did too much too soon. Sometimes you just need to not trying to parent them, not trying to overcompensate them. Women are receivers, men are givers. It's how it's set up. Check your Bibles, ask your mamas. Stop trying to do the utmost most for a man. That's not their love language. Men fall in love in absence. Men fall in love when there's a touch of struggle in life. You have to incorporate those things in a relationship. Otherwise, it becomes boring. I don't care what they say in the motherfucking comments. Half these men in these comments are not even the men we want. So why are we even listening to them? So focus more on yourself. Become self-centered. I know everybody, why should I do that? Oh, Lord. Then you want to cry. Why? You did it. You created the monster. You put him on a pedestal. Take him off the motherfucking pedestal. I promise you. And another thing, I still have a couple of spots left for booking a call.
All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Men fall in love when there's absence and struggle. What's your take on that? I'm gonna go ahead and start with you first, Ash. Yeah, you was smiling and you was doing a lot of animation, man. I kind of figured you was touched by that. But go ahead.
Yeah, you know I always do this. Why is she again? Hold on. Um, I'm a little like I'm 75-25, like 75%. I definitely agree with that. But I feel like maybe during the dating stages, don't be so available. Don't be all over him. I tend to think that's the truth. Men don't like women that's too available for them. Like that's too like it's not like a challenge. Like it's just like you're not making me work hard for something. I think that's in a man's nature for him. Wait, because I keep hearing feedback. I think that's in a man's nature for him to kind of like really work towards like earning her. You know, like if you always available, it's kind of boring after a while. Just get him like a little bit of struggle, just a tad bit, not nothing that's toxic, but just a little bit of hard work for him to like earn you. I guess that's my take on it.
All right. What about you, Luis? Go ahead and get you in there. Men fall in love when there's absence and struggle. Ash said just a little bit when women are too available. It's boring. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I would probably propose the question to ask her, what type of man are you talking about? Because, there are men out here who are doing the bare minimum in life and getting by, and there are men who are out here absolutely doing the most, in their life, in their community, and stuff like that. So I just wonder, what type of man are you specifically talking about? Because all men are not created equal. And sort of, if you have a man who is busy and mindful, and he squeezes time for you to make time for you, right? I would think that you will reciprocate, right? Like, this man just, changed or rearranged his schedule to accommodate me, to take me to lunch, or, go to dinner this weekend, whatever the case may be. When people make time for you out of their busy schedule, right? We all live busy lives, but there are specific type of individuals who are extremely busy, and they got a lot of things going on and a lot of responsibility and a lot of people that they take care of, right? Who they take care of in terms of family, employment, and things of that nature. So I always ask, like, what type of man you want? But I there is a little bit of truth, a little bit of, absence makes the heart grow fonder. And sort of, when you have, but that only comes after great conversation. If we meet for the first time and we have amazing chemistry and we have great conversation, and there's always these kind of suggestions and lead ons, right? And we're kind of wondering about the next time we're meeting each other, and we go a week without seeing each other, or if we go a few days without seeing each other, or I check in on you, you check in on me, right? There is that, we picked up right where we left off. There isn't like, what has he been doing all this time? You clearly know what he's been doing all this time. He has articulated that to you, what he's doing and what he's about. If he doesn't do anything, trust me, you will know it. He's available in the morning, in the evening, at night, in the shower, while he's on the toilet, whatever. That type of individual has way too much time on their hand. We're not talking about the same kind of individual. But for the people who invest their time wisely into someone and are very intentional about how they move, those are the type of individuals who, a little bit of space, and then when they get back together, it does create that tension, which makes that sort of connection a little bit much stronger, because you left it on a high note. You never want to leave it on a low note, because that's all they can remember. So you leave the interactions always on a high note. So I am.
All right. Let me go to you, Aisha. I'll go to you. Men fall in love when there's absence and struggle.
I think that men and women fall in love when they're in need of that emotional support the most. It's like when people fall in love when they're vulnerable. I think that that's common against, to me, for both sexes. But I think that in today's society, I don't see that being a common thread amongst men, or not the men that I've encountered. So I guess I don't agree with that statement.
Okay. What about you, Miss Brittany Gold? Men fall in love when there's absence and struggle.
I think it depends on the type of man you're talking about. I mean, in my experience, I feel like if a man is emotionally healthy, you don't have to play games to try to get him to, be attracted to you and want to spend time with you. It really just depends on the man. I found that men who have issues being vulnerable, or they only connect on a physical level, those are typically the ones that you have to play games with. You give them all your time and attention, they fall back. The minute you pull away, they're blowing you up. Those men are not emotionally healthy. But the right guy who's emotionally healthy and vulnerable, and he's in a position where he wants some sort of commitment or sustenance, and he's not just like chasing the dopamine high from sex or whatever the case may be, then you're going to get a different flow from him. He's going to be engaged. You're not going to have to play mind games with him in order to get him to invest into you. So it depends on the guy. But I do agree with what she said about I wouldn't call it, become self-centered, but I do agree with when you pour into yourself, when you invest in yourself and you prioritize yourself, you will naturally attract, people and things. So I do agree with that.
All right. What about you, True Table? Men fall in love when there's absence and struggle.
I think she attempted to be correct, but she couldn't be further from wrong. I kind of like what Brittany Gold said. I think it depends on the maturity of the man you're referring to. Most of the time, if a man is annoyed with a woman's availability, it's because she's a bum. And he's annoyed at the fact that she's a bum. So it's like, you're a bum and your attention is on me. No, like, go be productive, do what you need to do to, get off my back, because, I'm working, I'm grinding, whatever it may be. But a woman that's about her stuff, that's living a balanced life, and she makes time to incorporate you in her day, we appreciate it. It's more valuable. So I think she's wrong. I digress.
Can I ask a question? Are people really taught in culture to how to properly manage their time? We speak about time very often on this show, and I have seen anybody kind of explain or break down the nucleus of, like, what does that really look like, right? When we talk about people managing their time well, like, do most people have a calendar? Do most people fill up their iPhone calendar? I know I do, but I don't know if most people do. I mean, a lot of people I come across, they'd be surprised of what my calendar looks like, especially my personal calendar and my work calendar. And sort of like, I understand that it kind of seems cold to have a conversation with someone that you're romantically interested in, tell her and say something like, "Oh, let me check my calendar or my availability," something along those lines, right? It just seems like, it's like an afterthought, and we don't want to come off like that. But I sometimes am remiss to think to myself, how well are people really managing their time? Like, really? Because if I was to go to your phone and go through the settings and see how much time you spend on Instagram and how much time you spend on all these other apps, right? And I add those up per day, per week, etc. How much time are you really, really being productive? I'm just curious.
I just think that when it comes to a relationship, the concept of time, in my view, it's like you make time for the things that you want. It's that simple. And I think that we harp on this, oh, this person is busy. And, I know people that run 500 companies, then they have time. You make time for the things that are valuable to you. And that is the bottom line behind it. I don't care how many Palm Pilots, how many Outlook calendar outlooks you have. You're going to make time for the things that are valuable to you in your life, point blank, period. There's no way around that concept. The things that you desire the most, you are going to make time for that. So I think that people need to just tell themselves that's not important to me right now, and stop wasting other people's time.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. Dassimone. What are your thoughts about the men fall in love when there's absence and struggle?
I feel like men fall in love when they found somebody that, because you'll see guys and they're like, why you with that ugly girl? Or something like that, and they be fine guys who's, who's getting the attention, who's out there, they're dating. And he liked her personality. He liked what she brings to the household. She's a good mother. Like True said, she's probably a good worker. She's got some type of motivation to herself. She inspires everyone around her. It's just things that, women can bring to the table. And I don't think it's like, when I hear that, it sounds like men just dating like last resort type stuff, And I don't think that's the case when it comes to men, especially since they're the ones who's asking us to marry them.
All right, what about you, Hank? Men fall in love when there's absence and struggle.
Shit. Shit. Man, these ladies got a lot to learn, I see. If you're not around, we ain't loving you. Shit. If you're not showing us what we are looking for, we're gonna move on from you. You can't sit there playing, well, I'm gonna go ghosting for a couple of days and he'll miss me. Let me tell you what he's gonna do. He's gonna fill his time with something else. And that time he feels with something else, you may not like what he's filling it with. Because it may be another woman. Why? Because you felt like you had better shit to do. Maybe hang out with your girlfriends or do a self-day at the spa for damn near whole day. You getting your hair done. You know, y'all ladies, it take about 5 to 6 hours to get your that install. You know what I'm saying? Then after that, you want to go and get a pedicure and a manicure. Well, that's about another 2 hours. So now you damn near had a whole work day just trying to, get cute. While he's just sitting idle doing what he want to do. Okay, well, most men ain't around playing 2K all day and mad, ladies. I'm sorry if that's what y'all think we do. Most of us, we ain't got time for that shit. You know what I'm saying? We out here trying to be productive, trying to make money. We out here trying to conquer the world. But y'all think we just sitting around waiting for y'all. No, we're not doing that. We doing other things. We trying to get this money. As far as the struggle, yeah, no man falls in love with and want to be in the struggle. We're not thinking about you. We think about the struggle. We think about how we're going to get out of this struggle. We think about how we're going to figure a way how to not continue to struggle, because nobody wants to be in there and struggle and scrape by. Nobody want to do that. And what makes you think I'm going to fall in love? No, you might be the reason why we are financially struggling, because you spending 8 hours at the beautician and she charged you $250 for that install. Now we think like, why the hell do you got to go do this twice a month to get this goddamn $500 install every week to get these goddamn eyelashes and all that shit done? Why are we doing this? Financially, does that make sense? No, not really. But y'all ladies want to do it for self. So I understand y'all want to get dolled up, get cute for each other. I know what it was really for. It ain't for me, because I'm gonna say, baby, you don't need all that. You beautiful just the way you are. I don't need that, but hey, if that's what you need to encourage yourself and uplift yourself, I understand. Do what you do. But no, most men don't fall in love because she's not around all the time. No, we want to be around you. If we want to be around, we're gonna be around you. We expect you to be there. You know what I'm saying? I shouldn't have to go searching for you every other day because I think like Brittany said, all about taking care of yourself. Okay, I know there's gonna be times a day when you're gonna have to do that. Right, cool. I don't think it should be about 3 or 4 times a week though. Maybe once a week. Okay, cool. Once every other week, that's even better. But 3 or 4 times where you gotta, hanging out with your girlfriends 3 times a week, you working them other 5. Damn, when you gonna have time for your man? But then you get mad if he just come over after dark. You know what I'm saying? And just getting a shot of ass and leaving. Then you feel I feel like I'm being used and abused. I don't feel like that. Because, ma'am, I feel the same way. Because I don't see you all. I don't hear from you. You ghosted me half the time. Then I got to, go searching for you. I shouldn't have to do that. But, maybe I'm just one of many. So if that's the case, then I'm going to treat you as such. You're going to be one of many.
Their business hours are from 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. Hank, that's their business hours.
We know what that means. I'm going to leave it there.
All right.
Ash.
I really feel like y'all was being extreme, right? Nobody said playing games with him, like making him wait to see you for days. We're not kids anymore. What I'm saying is a woman who's constantly texting or calling me at 24/7 all day, every day. That's annoying. Even me being a woman, I don't want a man texting or calling me all day, every day, because I am busy sometimes. But throughout my day, I do make time to like text or to call. Yes, I do like to do that. Give me a little space throughout the day. I work, I have children, I like my me time sometimes, and vice versa. So I like somebody who has a a busy lifestyle like me, who has hobbies, who like to do other things. I don't want to be with somebody who just kind of makes me their world. Like, that's what I'm basically like saying. Like, for, you know what I'm saying? Like, I have other things that I do that I'm into. So I like to take time out to do what I like to do, like as far as like my extracurricular activities, whatever it is that I'm doing. But throughout the day, am I talking to the person that I'm dating? Yeah, but all day, absolutely not. Do we make time to go on dates? Do we make time to see each other? Yes. But outside of me dating you, I have a life, and I want to date somebody who has a life outside of just me as well. That's what I'm saying. I feel like it's a balance. I'm not saying like just, ignoring him. And I'm not saying like make him struggle as far as like a financial tip. I'm saying like make him work a little bit. I think that men, you guys like to conquer things. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, but you guys are hunters. And naturally you are. So it's just kind of like allow a man to kind of go after that a little bit, just a little bit from my experience. I can't speak on nobody else's, but that's what has worked for me. I'm not sure where everybody else is at, but for me, I've noticed that has worked versus me being openly available for a man. It didn't work out like that.
I think, ma'am, what you're saying may be more extreme in the way you explained it. I think that it'd be wise to learn that man's appetite for conversation and attention. And I think that a lot of women to sometimes put us in a template. Every man's appetite gonna be a little different. So one man may be irritated by your excessiveness. Another man may actually need that, because the thing about being a woman is you guys are in a constant state of being pursued. Most men have never been pursued. Most men have actually never even been prioritized. So if you have a woman that you actually like and she makes it a point to be intentional, to be consistent, most men appreciate this. Most men are actually dehydrated from attention. So I think that to be like, oh, well, you need to create the scenario for us to chase, you don't have to do that. The chasing is always going to be constant. There's going to be anniversaries. You got your birthday. You're a woman. So even in a relationship with a man, you're still always actively being pursued because you're a woman. So I think that it behooves women to actually understand that I do need to make myself available to him and then tailor it to what he may need. And I digress.
Yeah, I think the example that you kind of laid out with the overbearing consistency and constantly being there, you're talking about more of like a high school kind of romance, right? Rather than working professionals, because I just don't know too many people that be up under their person 24/7. Like, what you doing? Where you at? Good morning, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's fine in the morning and sometime in the afternoon, whatever. I think it's spaced out. But like the way that example, I'm trying to think very hard to myself, and I'm being very sincere. When that has ever happened, I think that's more of a young person mentality. I don't think that full-fledged adults out here who are working and have responsibilities, and you know what I'm saying, and are also responsible for other people, are doing those kinds of things. And to the brother's point, yeah, I think that there are a lot of men out here who are not really appreciated. I'm starting to get the sense that I don't feel that like women really starting to like men, like just genuinely them, because it seems like, oh, it's a chore to talk to you, and it's like, wow, it's not a chore when they put the effort. But I digress.
That's funny that you say that, because I was just like, when I look at men sometimes and their opinion on women on social media, or even when I'm like at the grocery store, right? I find myself holding doors open more for men, because if I'm coming first or if we coming at the same time, it's like, if I see you're not taking the initiative, I'll take the initiative, because I think we should all show each other. I feel like love and respect. It don't have to just be your partner. But my interaction with men lately, I be like, dang, do men even like women anymore? Like, it don't seem like, it seemed like the same thing you said, like their job is a chore in an instance. Like, oh dang, like I'm gonna have to get with you, then I'm gonna have to pay for this, I'm gonna have to pay for that. Or it may be like, okay, I talk a lot. So my thing is, people like, oh, she talks a lot. I don't want, most men don't like to talk too much. So I could definitely understand what y'all saying. And I'm glad that y'all kind of brought that up about how, because even though y'all pursuing us, y'all can't like as far as when I did talk to guys, they don't really say, "Oh, I want your attention," or "I want you to call me more." I think that if you really like the girl, that communication should be set, because everybody just not gonna know. Like I don't do the texting. I call people when I want something. I don't call people just to talk. So if I'm not calling you or pursuing you the way you think I should, you have to communicate that. I think that's important.
All right, let me get Amir in there. Let me get Amir in there real quick, Luis. Amir, what are your thoughts about the men fall in love when there's absence and struggle?
I think that this woman was talking in a dating sense. I don't, like I said, I'm ignorant to dating, but for all the ladies who are marriage minded or women who are all about marriage, speaking from a married point of view, I don't see that men, let me start over. Men value time more than women do, although it should be the opposite way around. Because women, if we only knew how little time we have in our biological scheme, if we only knew how much little time we have, we wouldn't play around so much. But men seem to value time more than women in many ways, as in men don't like to play with their time. They don't appreciate time being wasted, um, especially on things that aren't fruitful. Let's say, um, I know that the lady isn't really talking about playing games, but just as an example, if a woman is trying to make a man hunt harder, you don't think men feel that? They can feel what you're doing. They can feel that you're trying to make him go um, jump through, those little doggy hoops. When the dogs do the tricks and stuff, they're trying to make you jump through the little hula hoops and stuff. Men don't like to be toyed with. There's so many more women than men in this planet, and they will just move on. But in a married sense, regarding my own husband, I've noticed that he likes it when I'm busy, but not busy as in the outside sense, not busy on a career. He likes it when I'm busy doing things for our betterment. The elder ladies in our culture, the elder ladies always tell the younger ladies, women, when your man is around, when your man comes home from work, you need to be up on your feet. He should not come home and you sitting down enjoying television. He shouldn't come home and you got your feet kicked up like, "Oh, hi, honey." No, no, no. That's not how it should be. When the man is coming home, all women are on their feet, because that's just the way our culture is. We are taught what woman is on your foot until dinner is served, kitchen is cleaned, and then she can sit. But women, you don't just sit around. And I've noticed that men don't like to see women unbusy, just lounging around, not doing anything. But at the same time, they don't want to be bothered constantly. I guess that's it from my side.
Amir, can I ask you one quick question? On your free time or your time away from your husband, how do you use or manage your time? Like, how do you use that? What are the things that you invest in that time that you're apart from your husband during the day or sometime on the weekend? Can you give us some insight?
Good question. Good question. I'm always doing projects usually around the home. I paint the house. I decorate. I'm always doing something. And in fact, I'm always cleaning, honestly, because I'm OCD about cleanliness. Typically, I'm always cleaning. I'm always washing something, moving something. But when all of that is done and I actually have time to be myself, I read books. I like to read a lot. I'll sit outside on the porch and read, or I attend to the rabbits. We have rabbits, we have goats, we have some animals. I tend to the animals. I'm always busy, I guess you could say. Like, I'm always doing something. I'm tending to the animals, tending to the children, which are like animals, tending to the home. I'm always doing that. But when I'm not doing that, I'm reading. I YouTube. Like, even now, this is my leisure time that I spend with you all, and I have to get permission to do this from my family too. But I get leisure time to hang out with you guys. So I don't really have much leisure time per se, but when I do, I like to read and YouTube with you fine people.
Amira, I want to ask you a question. You're a stay-at-home wife, right?
No, I work.
You work. Okay, so I just think that there's a difference in culture. Not only just that, I also think that relationships or marriages aren't one size fits all, right? I think that there should be a foundation, but I think that it's very important to know your husband and very important to know your wife, because everybody's relationship doesn't require the same type of needs. There are men in the world that's okay with their wives being being able to relax, right? Because sometimes the men that I know in my life, right, especially because the women are the ones who typically are going to be with the kids more often, they make sure that the woman is right, because if she's not right, their kids is not going to be right. And that's who's raising your children. So to me, I feel like a man, right, that wants his wife in the right head mindset is going to give her days if he's able to relax, spa days, seeing her,
Are you
being
married,
at her.
Ash? I'm
Yes,
sorry,
I
Ash. Are
am
you
married.
married?
Yes, I am married. I've been married for almost 14 years.
So
Yeah. So
since you have
wait, wait,
your
wait.
husband,
I just want to finish this last statement. So I just feel like I've just been just I'm American, but I have Caribbean parents. So I've grown up seeing like men wanting to provide for their families and not necessarily wanting their wives to have to go above and beyond, but making it sure it's a balanced thing. And I, like I said, I tend to see that they put their women in a place where they are right mentally. Like I said, that triggers down to your children. So
do you think that
Go ahead. Go ahead.
cleaning or being busy makes a woman not right mentally? Because I think I'm very level-headed as a woman, and I'm constantly taking care of my
no,
family.
so that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that the cultures is different. Um,
But you
so
said
and
spa day. You said why not have a spa day, that the husband should give the woman spa day because her mental acuity and mental health is trickled down to the children. My children
yes,
don't
it is.
suffer.
So what I'm saying is because all right, so I want to point this out, right? Obviously you're not African American. We have different struggles in the world. I'm not sure where you're from. I'm not sure your background. I'm not saying that you don't have struggles. I'm just saying that the culture is different, the lifestyle is different. That's all that I'm saying. So sometimes what may work for one person may not work for the next. That's all that I'm saying. I'm not saying that you're not level-headed. I'm not saying that you're a good mom. I don't know. You can be amazing mom and amazing wife. You sound like that. What I'm saying is that there's no specific one size fits all for marriage and relationships. I'm just saying that there's a foundation, but everybody is different, and it's important to know your mate, to know their needs. Just because I might get advice from you, right? And then but not go to my husband and ask what he needs from me, but I'm listening to you because I feel like your marriage is the model relationship, model marriage, but not necessarily for me and him, because I'm not taking the time to get to know him and see what he needs or see the type of woman that he wants. That's all that I'm saying.
Can I ask you a question? You made a comment about, there are men that are okay with their women relaxing. Can you elaborate a little bit further on what that looks like? What do you
Mm.
mean, like relaxing?
So for instance, right, I have a 9 to 5, and then I
Okay.
have other. All right, so I have a 9 to 5. I stand on my feet. I'm an armed security. So outside of that, I do like podcasts, I direct and I do casting. Outside of that, I volunteer with my community and stuff like that. And then I also have, I have children, they're teenagers or whatever. But so I wear many hats throughout my day. I still cook. I cook five days out the week.
Mm-hmm.
I clean up, but since my kids are older, I don't have to clean up as much because they have chores. I make sure
Mm-hmm.
their homework and stuff is done, but like I said, because they're older, I don't have that much responsibility. I make sure I cook for my husband. I help him set up, his appointments for work and things of that type of nature. But him being who he is and understanding who I am, he makes sure that he recognizes when I'm overwhelmed or overstimulated or too stressed. Because I'm not the type of person that's going to say I'm stressed, I'm overwhelmed. He'd be like, you know what, Ash, I noticed what you've been doing. Hey, what I'm saying, I'm gonna take over this, I'm gonna cook, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna check on You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna check on the kids' homework. I'm gonna make sure this, like, he takes over. That's what I'm saying. Everything just doesn't fall on me because I still have to be mentally in a place where I'm able to be my best self, be the best wife that I can be, and be the best mother I can be for our children. But if I am not taking the time out to self-care for myself, I cannot be the best that I can be for anybody else if I'm not being my best self for myself first. That's all that I'm saying.
I understand that, and thank you for elaborating on that. But also too, I understand like these conversations had to happen early on in the relationship in terms of, the dynamics as far as like responsibilities around the house with the kids and things like that. Obviously, understanding your schedule, his schedule, and if you're someone who is gets overwhelmed easily or is carrying a load because you have a lot of responsibility, I would think that a conversation in your relationship will built in like, hey, every week on Saturday between these hours, I want you to go to the spa. I want you to get a massage. I want you to go reset yourself. Saturday, Friday, Sunday, whatever day of the week, that is your window of time. And step back and he takes over for whatever that window. But that's something you built in automatically, right? That's built into your schedule. I go to the gym Monday through Thursday, Friday off, Saturday, and I get a facial every 2 to 3 weeks, depending on my calendar, right? And I have that built in like science. And sort of you should have that built in, and that person should know that. So so you're not overwhelmed. So you're the best. But again, like it sounds like this like communicate like essentially what we're talking about is just dynamics and communication. That's really what it boils down to me.
Yeah. We got to go ahead and transition this one. But did you want to add anything, Viz, before we go? Did you see anything?
No, I'll jump in on the next one.
Okay, you sound kind of digital right now. Is that me? Can I hear that? Does he sound digital? Okay.
You do too. Everybody.
Oh shit.
Test. Mic check. Beep.
Hold on. I want you mute right now. Okay, can y'all still hear it? Something with you, Viz. Yeah, something going on over there. Strong signal over there, brother. We get to these super chats.
JR, you know what it is. It's
What?
when he did that crazy ass dance on IG, man. It shit started acting up, man.
Can't believe I agree with Simone on this subject. Search Shy again, $2 says salute to Amir, salute JI. Let's go, Chicago Bears 2025. Abraham Lacey, $2 said that smoke detector is giving me anxiety and stress. It's still going off? I'm not sure if I heard it or not. It's still going off, Ash?
It is. So I got water damage inside of my ceiling. So
Can I
I had
say
to have
something?
somebody come out and change the wires in the ceiling.
What'd you say?
JR, I wanted to say something because don't get offended, Ash. That's the reason why I asked, because I didn't know like you were married, and I'm happy that you are, but I didn't know because usually husbands cannot stand to hear the beeping, and usually the husband will take care of it. That's why I thought that maybe you weren't married.
No, I'm
And maybe
not
you can't
offended
reach.
at all. No, so it's not even that. We changed the smoke alarms. It's water damage. So like we just kind of moved here. But well, I got my my own spot, whatever. But I just kind of like moved here and it was water damage. So the landlord has to have somebody come out and like remove like a lot of the ceiling, like throughout the house, not even just where I'm at. So it's like all the smoke detectors. It's like that. So it's just the wire.
Wait, so you moved in the smoke detector that's beeping?
You said what?
You moved in the smoke detector at the new place is beeping?
Yeah, it's been. I moved here in like the end of October, so it's been beeping. But we changed the batteries and stuff, and we like, what the fuck is going on? We finally figured it out. It's to have water damage, just like the wires in the ceiling. So yeah, somebody gotta come fix it.
I was trying to move on, Biz. You had to crack a joke, man.
I'm gonna get his ass back. It's cool.
No way. So the place you left, you went to a whole new environment, and you still maintain that issue.
That's wild to say. And that's,
Well, she
that's
took them ragged ass smoke detectors with her. That's what she did.
You sure these work? Nah, yeah, they good. They good. If you haven't already hit the like button, that's all I'm asking for. If you guys hit the like button and go ahead and share the stream. Let's go ahead and get into this topic right here. Good, Brittany? Doing well-being check. Okay. I got to check on my folks, make sure they're good. All right, so we're going to talk about Ashanti, man. Ashanti and Nelly is together, and she did an interview with Angie Martinez, and she said a couple things that I think will be for a great conversation. So I'm going to go ahead and play this first one, and then we'll go ahead and get into it. Here we go. Is you there? Ish?
She says she'll be right back.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and run it.
Things that we're going to get to today, but it just felt like, I don't know, we're so happy for you now, being a mom. Do you feel like that? Do you feel like the love?
I definitely feel the love. It's been a journey. You know what I mean? It's been a journey. So, you know, you open up your social media and you see just an outpouring of love. It's just like, that feels great.
So your life in the past 2 years is like a different life.
Completely different.
Like who are you now versus who you were that day when we were in Canada? We shot it in Canada because you were on set.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I am a mother and a wife now.
Wow.
Completely different. I did not see this coming at all the last time we sat down.
You know what's so interesting? When I thought that there may be a little window open, is I asked you about Nelly and the time that you had dated that first time around, and I was like, I asked you, what did you learn from yourself in that relationship? And you said to me that he checked you because the way you used to talk to him. And that he would say, we don't talk to each other like that.
Yeah.
Like, and you thought that made you better.
Yeah.
And the way you told that story, I was like, wait a minute. There's something it wasn't told with like the venom of an ex. It was told that there was still like a little bit of a soft spot for that time, maybe. This was right after Versus.
Oh, so this was after
He went in for the hug. It was awkward. Everybody was like, and something happened from then to now.
A lot happened from then to now.
Clearly.
So if it was after Versus, it was definitely a place where I was open to what he was saying. Like I was listening to what he was saying instead of being angry and mad. Yeah.
How come? Just because of how he was?
Because
like what shifted in you?
I think growth and maturity, and if we're being completely honest, he said that to me like super early on. You know what I mean? Like this was like, you know, my mouth is crazy. Like, my mouth is like a pirate, like sour. Like it's disgusting. So, you know, I just used to, you know, and I'm from New York, he's from the Midwest. So, you know, they're different. Like they're very polite and very, you know, and I'm very, you know, so very early on in some of our conversations, a little heated, he'd be like, yo, you're not gonna talk to me like that.
That's what we're not gonna do.
This is what we're not gonna do. Yeah. So yeah, he told me that very early on, and I was like,
this was the first time when you were dating.
Yeah, this was like the first go round. So I was like, nobody ever said that to me before, you know. But when I received it differently, the next time around, you know what I mean?
This time around,
yeah.
Oh, he had to come back and check you again.
No, the mouth is not crazy anymore. It's good. Okay. It's calmed down. Only when provoked.
Don't be nuts.
I'm gonna stop it there. So the question I have is, do women need to be checked, and how important is it? Funny story. I dated a couple people some point in time in this life of mine, and one of the things that came up was how stern I am at times, how blunt I can be, how direct I can be. And they told me they didn't like it. They told me that they did not like it at all. They told me something similar. I never had a man talk to me like that before. You know, you kind of remind me of my father. No man has ever talked to me like that, but they liked it. They liked it and they respected it. I had somebody else didn't talk to me for a little bit, but came back around and they told me that they liked it, but they didn't know how to deal with it because they're not used to a man speaking to them like that. So when I heard this conversation taking place, I'm like, do women need to be checked? How important is it? How do you women feel about that? And for the men, have you experienced that before? And we're not talking about verbal abuse. We're not talking about attacking someone, right? But the respect around the check. I know check may be a trigger word for some folks, but I don't really want to go there because I don't want to have this conversation as though it's an assault, but some people do respect the check. Some people do like a man that they can't run over, or he just doesn't just fall and just does everything or just agrees with her. They like a man that's gonna check them. So let's have this conversation.
I won't call it check. I don't know if there's a better, I'm sure there's a better term. I don't want a man to check me, but I am attracted to assertiveness and confidence. And, you know, I don't want a man who's timid. You know, if there's something that I'm doing that's rubbing you the wrong way, communicate that, like be direct with me. And even on the flip side, let's just say we're dealing with just flirtation or whatever, right? Not checking me, but let's just say you want to grab me and give me a kiss. Grab me and give me a kiss. Like I love a gentleman, you know what I'm saying? But don't wait for me to like take the lead on everything. So I think what it really boils down to is it represents strong leadership. You know what I mean? And women are attracted to confident leaders. So my 2 cents.
I can tell Viz want to come off that mic, man. I can hear him saying, "What's wrong with the word check? What can we use the word?" Go ahead, Viz.
Yeah, man. These words, man. Brittany knows she wants to be checked. She knows she wants to. She want a man to check her. You know, we out, you know, we partying, whatever, you looking good. Man, come here, girl. Squeeze you real quick.
Yeah, that's confident. Like that's a confident, assertive man. That's not him checking me.
that's a man checking you. So the thing is that women hear these words and hear something else compared to what men view it as. You know, if you're stepping out of line, or I wouldn't even say stepping out of line, right? We all know women tend to test men. So, and you're going to test him to see if he's going to check you or not. And if he doesn't check you, then you know, okay, this nigga is a pushover. Now you're not calling him no more. You're not answering his phone calls. You see him call, you look at the phone, put it back down. That's what women do to men that don't check them. So realistically, that sounds good from a woman's perspective, but in real life, women want you to check them because
let's call it correction or redirection. I feel like that's a better term in the sense of what you're talking about. And then on the flip side, you know, when I gave the example of a man being assertive, well, okay, let me back up. Let's just call it assertiveness. You know what I mean? Because we could be dealing with correction. We could be dealing with a man's, you know, ability to flirt and go after what he wants. I just think that we like assertiveness. You know what I mean? But I don't want to call
assertiveness
it check.
is checking.
Correction, maybe, but check.
It's the same thing. You can put a bow and rainbows and whipped cream and cherry on top all you want to, but that's what it is. So if that's what you want to call it, correction, so that you can sleep better at night, that's cool. But
think about when we was growing up and somebody checked you. That's not like when I think of, oh, he checked you or she checked you, that's not what you're talking about right now. What you're talking
So
about is totally different from checking somebody.
let's say there's a situation where you say you out with your girls or something. Let's say you out with your girls and one of your girls, say something to her man, and that man like, oh no, but no, we're not doing that tonight. And he does it in a way that is a little aggressive, but she kind of get turned on from it. All the girls, I'm like, ooh, girl, you got you one. And what y'all take pride in that, in the fact that a man can be a man, right? So again, if it's a man that you can just push over, y'all are not attracted to that.
Yeah,
So
I agree with you.
to try to put this cherry on top of this term that we all know what it is, I think that's being disingenuous. But at the same time,
I think we're
I
saying
get
the
it.
same thing. We just disagree on the term. Like, I agree with you. Women want that. We want a man to like tell us what to do sometimes. Like, tell me, I just shared something like that the other day. Like, tell me what to do from
That's
time to
checking
time.
you.
You know what I mean? But I don't think we would consider that being checked. That's all. But
Yeah,
I
that's
agree with
checking
you.
you. So let's look at the definition.
So you think you checking me now, huh?
Hey.
Well, I mean, if we're paying,
No.
She
but if we're paying
windmilling
close
like hell
attention,
right now, though. She windmilling like hell, Viz.
yeah, for her, she's $1 million for her life. But if we look at the video that was presented by JR when Ashanti first met Nelly, and how she kind of came off very rowdy, etc., and he checked her, he's saying like, "There's no need for that, love. Like, tone it down a bit. Like, I understand, like I get it, but like just tone it down, simmer it down." And the second time around, it was similar to the same thing. And he did the same thing, thinking that she would have learned from the first interaction that they had. Like, you don't need to bring that energy around here. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not saying, I'm going to check you, but the way he handled the situation, he was like, look, love, there's no need to get rowdy. Like, drop that. Like, I don't know where you're coming with all that energy, but you need to simmer it down. Right? That is a form of checking per se. You're essentially assessing the temperature of the room, right? Men are the thermostat. We set the temperature, like this is how we're going to operate. Women are up and down, whatever the case may be, but, it's incumbent on them to have that conversation. At first, I was writing notes like, we're talking about checking it, women in general, women in our community, or women in relationships, etc. But I get the premise now.
All right, let me get a mirror in there.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why we're talking about this like it's something cute. I mean, I understand that Viz is trying to soften it up for Miss Brittany there, but it's really not. I don't see anything cute or sexy about this. This is something that is unnecessary. Women say they want a leader, but they don't want to be led. So I'm like, would you like? That's part of him
No, I
being the.
agreed with him.
And the
Amira,
thing
I agreed with him.
when it
We
comes to
want to
checking,
be led. We
majority
want
of
a
men
guy to
shouldn't
like.
have to. One second, Brittany. The one thing that women shouldn't have to do is be trained fully. Women shouldn't have to be trained from zero by her man. By the time they get married, I mean, there should be a certain level of etiquette that comes with a woman by a certain age. I mean, that checking should have been done by her father from when she was young, the majority of it. But women sometimes lose themselves. Sometimes women forget who they are. Sometimes women get over emotional, and then it can turn into her needing to be remembered or reminded that, hey, don't get out of place. Because you as a woman, when you accepted the marriage, you understood that you were taking a place under that man. So why would you? And another thing is, men, even if the man is not the husband, sometimes even men of the community will have to check women too. but women have to be women. Oh, another thing about checking. I wanted to bring this up, but yeah, back to the community part. When it comes to the community, men checking a woman, women have to be accepting. They have to be open to being checked. You cannot be the person who's going to what is it called, JR, when you go back at somebody, when somebody's telling you something, instead of you submitting and understanding, being combative, maybe you don't need to like go to war with that man because you got checked and you're either offended or embarrassed because you got checked, because that can happen. A woman can get embarrassed or offended and then make it 10 times worse. The other thing was, along with checking, there has to be consequences behind said checking, because a man who has no consequence or no action behind his checking is not powerful. What does it mean? Oh, so you said don't do this. So what? Who are you? There has to be some consequences behind it, because if there's no consequences, then it's not a real checking. In my humble opinion.
Amir, when you say consequences, like can you give me an example of what would be a consequence?
Well, in my culture, there's 3 ways to beat your wife. Now you can either take. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm just wait. Just. No, I mean
That was a good one, Mira.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I didn't want to go there. 3 ways to beat your wife. But no, there should be consequences, and whatever consequences are in a type of marriage, that's between him and his wife. What type of consequences they have, I can't tell every man what to do. I can't tell every woman what to expect, what type of consequences to expect. But anything that their marriage has, that a man knows that will inflict an amount of punishment on her or something, there has to be consequences. So I don't know, JR. It could be anything. It could be lack of affection. It could be I'm not giving you no money this week. It could be maybe a red cheek when we get home. It could be anything. We don't know. But there has to be consequences, or else the check is not real.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that what I was saying earlier, I agree that men should be assertive and redirect and correct. I just think the term check is just not fitting. But I agree that women should be receptive to a man leading her. That's all.
I just want to put this out there.
Word game.
I just want to put this out there. This was also said in the comments of one of the videos I seen. A man who is willing to check you sometimes gives husband energy. How do you feel about that?
I agree with that. I think first of all, I think a man checking a woman is sexy as fuck. Like that's super masculine, and I like assertiveness in a man that can take control. Sometimes being women, we could be, like Amara said, a little bit too emotional, right? Or not logical enough. So sometimes I need my man to be like, check me a little bit. I'm not gonna be mad. I'm gonna be a lot turned on, honestly. Just speaking facts. And I feel like a lot of times women don't really understand that when you go under your husband, your husband is in a what is that noise? But yeah. In a sense, your husband takes the place of your father. So he kind of leads and directs you and to kind of steer you in the right path. So it's all about having the right partner. I feel like if a woman is combative with that, means she doesn't trust him and she don't respect him enough to kind of like take his advice or take his word. That's all I gotta say about that.
Go ahead, Da.
I do agree with Amira because to an extent, when she said that men don't want women, they have to check. We had talked about this on this podcast before. Men, like at a certain age, it's like I don't want to have to come into the relationship checking you, and I think that's the reason why Brittany don't like that word checking, because usually even when the term is used in other settings, it's really more so like I have to check, like I have to get it, like you piss me off type checking, like you're being disrespectful type checking. But if we're gonna, for tonight's definition, I do agree that men do the checking, and everybody respect it. This is just not with men and women. Men, when a woman trying to get the kids under control and we can't, the man come in there, he don't even have to raise his voice. He just like, sit down, check. Even if it's not a consequence after that. And the reason why is because a consequence wasn't needed for the behavior to change. Now, if the behavior is not changing, of course there's consequences. But when we're talking about grown people, certain age, maturity, this usually happens in the dating stage. And the reason why we date in America is because we're not all under the same religion, background, education. It's not mirrored. It's a lot of diversity here. So when we're getting to know each other, especially in the Black community, because everybody know we lack fathers, there's things that we're doing wrong that we come off as masculine. We've seen it on the podcast. It's a few people on the podcast who had to check me when I get too loud, when I'm over talking, when I go too far. Like the men have to tell me, like, hey, damn it, you gotta calm down, take a breath. It's okay. We're not here to hurt you. Like they have to check me, and it's not necessary, and they're not disrespectful when they do it either. I have to check my friends sometimes. It's just checking is holding you accountable. And I do agree. Sometimes if the behavior is happening over and over again, then okay, now we need consequences because now you're acting like a child. So now we can't just communicate about this. Now I'm going to have to take action. But I don't think consequence is needed for every check. I do feel like when you're an adult, you should be able to have that conversation and, talk about it.
Pull up. Ouch. And I'm sorry, y'all. And I agree with you, Di. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole because it really is just a play on words. I just want to really challenge people to think about the term check. Typically, check has a negative connotation. It means you're putting somebody in their place, but it's a negative thing. Whereas redirection and correction is oftentimes done in love. You know what I mean? It's like, that's all I'm saying. I think we're all saying the same thing too, just to point out. It's just the connotation, associated with check is usually negative.
Yeah, but not every situation is going to be the same, right? There are going to be moments where conversations or things happen where it's a very calm and relaxed kind of setting, and it's like, hey, like I noticed that you keep on doing this thing that we spoke about a month ago, and you continue on doing it. I'm trying to understand why you're doing that. I thought we talked about this. I told you that it bothers me because of X, Y, and Z, and you still continue to do it, and I want to know why. And then there are other examples where there's times of desperation. There might be something much more dire, and kind of checking the person sounds a little bit more aggressive because of the circumstance that is presented, right? Every situation is not the same. I think more people are focused on the tonality and the delivery rather than understanding that it's coming from a place of endearment from the person that cares about you.
So would the term putting your foot down is that softer?
I mean, putting your foot down doesn't have a negative connotation like check does. I mean, I'm just from the era of, oh, he checked your ass, she checked your ass. Like that's just negative. It's not, oh, I don't know.
I mean, but
it's not what you all are making it out to be.
Go ahead, True.
I think that this is great that we're talking about this. I think that sometimes, since we're predominantly dealing with our community, it would serve us really, really well to communicate with other people outside of our community because we are very hypersensitive as people. There's absolutely nothing wrong with being checked. Men are checked by women. When we approach you, if we don't know you and we don't come across correctly, you guys check us. We don't cry about it. It's a natural exchange of humans. And I don't know why sometimes in our community, especially our women, they're so sensitive. They act like Black men are just so, aggressive or harmful or all these things that we're not. And it's kind of disturbing, especially even up to this point. In my opinion, women need to be trained. Amir kind of touched on it. The training was supposed to already happen. By the time I'm interacting with you, if I'm acting or interacting with a woman that I assume, you should already be on a level to where you understand certain things you need to process. You need to have a filter certain things you wouldn't say to me. Go ahead, Luis.
I have a question. I know I've been out of grad school for a while, and do they still offer etiquette classes at the collegiate level? Like, like dining etiquette, like just a bunch of interact, like there's a whole thing. I don't know if they still offer those types of things, or those things have shifted off into the
They've changed
sunset.
it. They've changed it to different schools. They've moved it to a private sector now. But they used to offer them, but now they don't.
So it's no longer in the public sector per se, but in the private sector is something that they offer, right? Okay. I suspect that outside of the collegiate level, there are companies who offer these types of services or classes or courses. And if that is the case, I'm sure they do. I don't know offhand. I would think that that is a very valuable investment, right? Um, just like $150 Beyonce tickets. So I encourage people to invest in themselves and invest in a course. Trust me, it will go a long way if you could do it.
Hold on, y'all. I want the Truth Table to go ahead and finish this point. I think you might have some more stuff to say. I was enjoying that perspective. Go ahead, Drew.
No, I was just saying, like, I appreciate Brittany bringing it to the forefront as far as the word, because I've had tons of interactions where certain words, like even saying trained, seems to, aggravate the demons that are in the emotional world of some women that you're speaking to. But I think that it would serve most women to ask more questions, because if you ask questions, it can expand upon what that man may mean. And a lot of times the interactions that our women are having tend to be, unfortunately, not developed, not mature. A man is a regulator. Men are regulators. This is what we do. So if there ever is an address, tone or any type of approach to something, it's probably something that he either perceived that you're doing incorrectly. He may inquire. A check cannot always necessarily be a inflection in tone. He may ask, why do you do that? To expand upon the conversation. And what it's supposed to do, ultimately, is supposed to have you see yourself, and then hopefully see yourself through his eyes. And I'm talking about a healthy man. I'm not talking about a combative man. I'm not talking about a man who's trying to be destructive. I'm talking about a man who has your best interest at heart. And I digress.
Let me get Aisha now, because she haven't spoken about. Go ahead, Aisha. I seen you had your finger up.
I just think that I know that Amir is from a different culture, but what I will say is this idea that somehow, it's again, it's the woman's fault because our father, which I had a father, didn't tell us or didn't teach us something. Where was the fathers at? Again, this goes back to the men. You guys you contradict yourselves when you say things like this, because in one breath it's our fault, but then our father should have taught us. Where was those fathers that should have taught these women how to do these things, right? So again, the responsibility in that regard to me still falls on the man. I don't think that any woman in here, I haven't met one that isn't willing to learn or be taught something from anyone, including a man, right? Especially if it's my man. I want my man to teach me, to show me, to lead me in the right direction. And in relationships, sometimes that's not always pretty, right? Sometimes you might have to have difficult conversations, and that's okay, and that's on both sides. It's just not a one-sided issue.
I agree with you. Let me say this real quick. Aisha, I don't necessarily disagree with you. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, a lot of people are not blessed to have a father in their life or a stepfather in their life to really, hone in those value systems and, teach them etiquette, etc. A lot of people, unfortunately, are not blessed to have that. However, at some point, we have to understand that although we might lack something or we didn't have a certain type of experience, that doesn't mean that we cannot go out and seek it for ourselves and put ourselves in the best position. I unfortunately was not taught how to cook. Let me invest in going to some cooking classes, community cooking course, et cetera, et cetera. You know, I didn't get taught all these things about etiquette. Let me invest in myself and take some etiquette courses, or talk to some friends like, hey, how did you work and develop on these things? Like, oh, I did this and my parents taught me this. And it's like, if you want it, it's out there and you could have it. I understand it wasn't given to you for free per se as a youth, and that opportunity is missed. But there's a lot of people out here who were granted a lot of different type of opportunities, right? And I think that we can't be blind to the fact that although that might be absent at a certain pivotal moment in our lives, I think that it's still within reach once we reach adulthood, and we can course correct that for the future generations after us. Are you?
I know Ash had a hand up. Go ahead, Ash. Did
So
you want
then
to
that
respond,
means that
Aisha?
the
Yeah. So I
Hold
wanted
on, hold
to
on, hold on,
respond.
hold on, Ash. Hold on. Let
oh,
Aisha
go ahead,
respond first.
Ash.
And I'll come to you.
Well,
No, Aisha, you can go ahead.
I just think that that means that the men have to give the women grace, right? If you know this, and that's what they mean when they say you have to learn a woman. And that's why every man can't be with a black woman, right? Because who we are and what we've been through and the things that challenge us, some people just don't understand, or they just don't want to tolerate it. And I feel like if you know that you're the type of man that can't deal with or be with a woman that can't be checked, then go ahead and move, keep it moving, and move to the next woman
So
that
we
adheres.
okay in combative women? That sounds crazy as hell.
No, she's saying is what she's saying is that because if you look at our culture and how we were bred, because our culture was bred, there's things that's a part of our culture that we had no say so for. They purposely put things in our culture. That means 9 times out of 10, when we find somebody that's from our area, that's like us, that can relate to us, they may come with this issue. Just like sometimes, in my opinion, when it comes down to the men, they complain about things about us as Black women that sometimes other cultures don't complain about. And I'm not talking about the aggressiveness. I'm talking about the emotion, how we're emotional. They call us needy. A lot of other cultures, I've just been seeing on my timelines, a lot of other cultures kind of talking about American men, like saying, oh, I'm gonna go 50-50 with my wife. And they're like, oh, you're Americanized, you're this. Or another man was just like, why do the American men always say 50-50? What is that? Like they have the impression
wait. You can't go to 50-50.
Yeah, let's
When
keep
she
it.
just said,
that's just
she just said that most men can't deal with a Black woman.
with most Black women because of our culture. Our culture inspires us to be strong. Our culture inspires
What
us
does
to
that
be
have to do with
independent.
a woman being combative, though?
So
Because
those
that's essentially
Can
what she's okay.
But Di, when you say
what I'm
that
saying is those
statement, are you
traits
saying
sometimes
all men or specifically Black men? When you're making that statement,
most men, just men in general,
just
because they want a woman
just
who's
most
submissive.
general men.
So most independent women, for instance, have a trait of like me, I sometimes talk over y'all. Some women without a father have a trait of raising their voices to men and not knowing how to speak or respect them. A lot of us don't have fathers. A lot of us like those type of things that come.
Is that due to a lack of a father, or is that because your mother instilled that into you?
Remember, she couldn't instill, even if she wanted to, she couldn't instill in me on how to respect the man. I would have to see that. I would have to have a man be like, hey, this, that. And when he speaks to me, I would know, okay, he means business right now. Y'all even said it yourselves. The reason why most women, so don't go back on what y'all always preach. Most women have these issues when we come into the relationship, especially Black women, because y'all always get on it, is because their lack of a father. And then y'all, when we talk about these issues and we be like, why do y'all have them? Because your daddy ain't teach you. Amira just said it even in her point.
Yeah,
She
no,
said,
y'all
have these issues for
reach.
having to check your women
You
because you
reaching
don't
with
have
that
your
one.
Hold on, y'all.
father.
One mic, so they can hear us.
You
But
reaching
I
with
think
that one, Dad, because it doesn't matter if you have a mother, a father, one not around, one is around. It's simple respect. Do you talk to you just how they say, do you kiss your mama with that mouth? If you running off at the mouth and you show no respect, you don't respect your elders, you don't respect your grandma, you don't respect the man up the street, You don't respect the old woman crossing the street. That don't have. That's on you.
Moving up the goalpost of check, though. When we was talking about check, it just wasn't about nasty, disrespectful things. It was just you setting your boundaries on how you wanted to be treated as a man. And
No,
there's certain
I'm not
things. One
moving the
thing I learned.
goalposts. I was addressing what Aisha said. Aisha basically said that most people will not be able to deal with a black woman
Because of
I
our
didn't
ideas
even say
and
you
our
put words in my mouth,
and
but
what we see as respect. When I came on this podcast, a lot of the things I did came off disrespectful. And because of my lack of a father and a male figure in my household, I didn't understand that. Y'all had to get that through to me. That's what I'm saying. And it's not always like me being, it's not you have to check her for being nasty, but you have to let her know, hey, we ain't doing this in my household. And if you ain't with it, you got to get on. Like,
I do want to go to Ash. Let's spread the mic for the folks that's been talking. And something to kind of keep in mind too is that if somebody just reckless with the mouth all the time with everybody, then I can understand that. But there are moments where people are selective on where they go off at the mouth. So if you had a real issue, then why doesn't that issue present itself when you're in church, when you are at your job, when you are at City Hall, when you are in court? So if you had a real issue, and this has nothing to do with having a father, similar to what Vian said, it's just a matter, do you have etiquette? So you do have it. It's just a reason why you're not doing it in this particular situation, which probably needs further examining. But go ahead, Ms. Ash.
I heard what everybody said. I feel like to kind of go all the way back to what's your name? Trev, right? I don't know. What's his name? True.
You give that whole goddamn new name. God damn.
You must got a small screen. What kind of phone you got? You must got a 3.5 over there.
All right, so I don't necessarily feel like a woman has to be trained. I would say molded for the most part, because that is part of a man's job to mold a woman, right? And I feel like now we live in a culture where men are expecting to meet 100% put together women, and that's not how it is. Granted, I do understand the difficulties in our culture, right, where a lot of women weren't raised with fathers, and whatever you guys want to sit here and say, that's not a cause to be one way or another. That is an effect on why a lot of Black women, right, do not know how to properly respect a man or their man, period, because they weren't taught that from a young age. They were taught those things from their mother, right? Not, they weren't around men with logical brains. They were just around women with more of an emotional stance. So she doesn't have a balanced viewpoint. Whereas she grew up with her father telling her, giving her direction, kind of course directing her, like, listen, no, baby girl, like, I'm not, this ain't it. You get what I'm saying? So when she's experiencing that as an adult, sometimes that can feel like an attack on you. And sometimes even as an adult, when you feel like, when you have to make changes to your personality, so that shit is hard as hell to do. I don't care who, I don't care if it's your husband, your friends, or whatever. It's a hard thing to do, to look at yourself in the mirror and understand that there are some things that you have to change about yourself, and not everybody is in a mindset to want to do that. You get what I'm saying? So
Ash, what's the difference between molding and training? What's the difference?
Because I don't feel like, for me, I don't feel like a man has to, like, for me, I don't feel like a man has to say, do this, do that, versus where he molding is just kind of leading by direction, or leading by what's the word I'm looking for?
That's training.
By example, or yeah, it is. But I'm just saying example. But when I think about training, when I think about training, though, it's just more so like I think of like a pet or a dog, versus where it's just like molding. It, for me, it's just kind of.
This is why.
So you just said that due to the fact that women don't have fathers around, they're just outside, just chaotic as hell. And for a man, for a man to come and say, hey, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. You said that he shouldn't have to do that. You feel like he shouldn't have to do that, but you're saying that they should because you're just out just doing whatever you want to.
No, that's not what I mean. Like, come on, Viv. You be going.
I mean, I'm saying that's what it sounds. That's what it sounds like. That's what it sounds like.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is when a woman is able to trust a man, sometimes it's hard, right? To kind of piggyback off Aisha. It takes a little bit more patience to deal with a Black woman to knock down those barriers of the things that she had to deal with in the world. Regardless of what y'all want to sit here and say, right? I love Black men. I dated outside my race or whatever the case may be. I dated some dope men, but there's something about a Black man, even with all of the issues and the things that Black men come with, I still love Black men. There's nothing that nobody can tell me to make me not wait a minute, Lewis, because I see you go off mute real fast. Let me finish. Let me cook. Hold on, let me cook real fast. You know what I'm saying?
Come on, man. Come on, let's land this plane.
I am. It's everybody saying something. Let me finish. What I'm saying is just there's certain things about our culture and about Black women and Black men where we may need a little bit extra love, a little bit more extra patience. And y'all know what we go through. Don't nobody else go through what we've been through. You get what I'm saying? So be gentle with the Black woman, be gentle with the Black man. That's what I'm saying. We're not against each other. Once we learn that, we can have a little bit more patience and not just pointing a finger. Granted, I do think that everything starts from the man because you're the head. Hire the head, but don't want to take accountability. That's it. I'm done.
All right.
Hold on, true. I think he was next.
Like a motherfucker, man.
Yeah, I think he was next. Go ahead.
Let me say this. Brittany, being checked could be good for the soul. You understand what I'm saying? I'm just saying. But let me say this, man. You know, y'all children, y'all women are children. That's what y'all sounded like right now. Y'all sounded like children because y'all don't know how to act. Y'all don't know how to carry yourself. That the man got to check you and get you in order because you're kids. You walking, you moving, you acting like them goddamn kids. So now you want us treated you like kids, talk to you like kids, but then y'all gonna feel some type of way. No, we shouldn't be doing that. So your ragged ass tackhead mammy should have taught you how to act and how to carry yourself like a lady, how to move and operate like a lady. Not your daddy. What your daddy should have did was reinforce what your mama taught you. That's his job, to reinforce it. Your mammy should have taught your ass. Elder women should be teaching younger women. As a man, I can't teach my daughter how to act and move like a lady. That's not in me. But I can reinforce what she was taught. I could check my daughter when she gets out of line and not doing the teachings of her mother. That's what our job is. So if y'all want to blame the men just because y'all want to blame the men, continue to do that. That's on y'all. But that's not how it's supposed to go. Your mammy should have did a goddamn better job showing you example how to talk to a man because she should have been talking to her husband. Or if she don't have a husband, or her dad, the father of the kids, whenever they get opportunity. She shouldn't see you cussing his ass out, crying about, well, why is the child support late? I thought you were going to pick her up on Friday instead of Saturday. Are you cussing him out because he don't like the way he was calling late at night or didn't come when you wanted him to? Or cussing him out because your boyfriend didn't do what you wanted him to do? That's not what you should be seeing, because you know what you're learning? How to operate in the same manner your ragged ass mammy's operating. And so the cycle's going to continue and continue. And we can't just keep on blaming it on just because we Black and we've been through some hard shit. How about knowing how to be respectful and be courteous and considerate to each other? We know we all been through this shit, but yet we still going to talk to us raggedy. But I bet you talk to Mr. Charlie like you got some goddamn sense. I bet you talk to that Asian man when you want that goddamn weave in your hair. I bet you talk to him like you got some goddamn sense. Or when you go see a bank teller and you want your check right, I bet you talk to him like you got sense. Or when you need an extension on your LG&E because your broke ass couldn't pay your goddamn light bill, you talk to him right. But that man who looks like you, who come from the same goddamn atmosphere as you talking to him raggedy. Why? Because you seen your ragged ass mammy do it. And you think it's okay because you don't think we could do nothing for you. But you'll kowtow to Mr. Charlie. You do whatever he say. Mr. Charlie, I appreciate you just giving me the opportunity of having a job. Thank you, Mr. White Man. Thank you for everything you do for me. You come home and look at that black man with disdain, with disgust. You ready to cuss him out before you even walk through the sill of the door. Why? Why ain't your black ass take the goddamn trash out? I'm sick of you. You ain't shit. Cussing him out up and down. And then you and your little daughter seeing that, she think, oh, that's how we supposed to talk to men. Why? Because my mama did it, my grandmama did it, and her grandmama did it.
So, Ash, I want to go back and highlight a few
Can I
things that
chime
you talked
in?
about.
I'm freezing. So
I was
forgive
just
me
gonna
if
say,
I
I
speak
thought
over
Man like
anyone.
in the
Amira was
matrix.
next.
Set up over here. Oh,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead, Brick, because you're kind of lagging, so don't nobody
Go
else
ahead,
speak.
Amira.
No, I was listening. I'm
Oh,
just
yeah,
No,
I have a
no,
lag, so forgive
nobody
me if
else
I'm
said
speaking over
anything
you all.
else.
It's
Is what
literally
you
like spinning.
Are you okay to go or can I go?
I was saying nobody else say anything because of the lag, but Brittany, but just go ahead, hit the refresh button and just come back in. Are you on your phone?
No, I'm not, but I think I'm good now. Or is it still a
No.
lag?
Yeah, it's still a lag, so just hit the refresh button and nobody else say nothing else. Don't say nothing, Luis. Okay. Go ahead, Luis. You was gonna say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say I wanted to go back and highlight a couple things that Ash had brought up. I know she brought up, look, I'm all for giving grace. I understand that we all gone through different trials and tribulations throughout our lives. So, I'm all for giving grace and understanding and meeting people where they are, but I'm also for self-development. I'm for people understanding it's okay not to be okay. And I understand that and I give you that. It's okay not to be okay, and I understand that, and I give you that grace. But it's not okay to stay there, baby girl. That's the problem, and I think a lot of people feel too comfortable staying where they are. Right? They don't want to get there, and one of the things that we are trying to kind of evolve in this conversation is people, doing the reflection and kind of seeking the help to kind of get out of that space. I know you talked about I know you talked about different things about, well, I didn't have this condition and stuff like that. I understand that. But I hope you can find it within yourself to want to self develop and want to improve, not only for yourself, but your future partner, for your future kids, and whatever that situation might look like. I don't want people to stay too comfortable where they're at. Like I said again, it's okay not to be okay, but it's not okay to stay there. Seek therapy, seek help, seek community, seek worship, etc. But also don't feel comfortable saying that. I think too many people are just too comfortable trying to be a victim, and I know we're all victim at some level, but at some point I want you to conquer that. I want people to kind of evolve. And relationships are all about evolution. We need to evolve. We're evolving together. We're growing. We're learning each other, and we're making the conscious effort each and every day. Right? I'm listening to you. I'm paying attention to you, your needs, your wants, your concerns, and how I address them. Right? In the beginning, things are not going to be perfect, and things are not going to be right spot on. I'm going to mess up, and I'm going to be honest and tell you right up front. I will fuck up. But in that fuck up, I will make the correction and I will understand the errors in my ways and I will recourse and make the necessary moves and to ensure that I effectively communicate to you and I effectively ensure that this relationship keeps full. I will do my part. I can't control your effort. You need to put your effort every day. If I tell you you need to self-improve and I need you not to do certain things, I need you to work towards that. And I need you to understand the bigger goal in terms of this dynamic. Right? We can't cleave onto the past. We got to leave that alone. You got to trailblaze your future, towards your future. We can't rewrite the past. It is what it is. People who didn't grow up with fathers or mothers weren't this particular type of way. We got to give them grace too. because they were doing the best that they could and the best they know how at that time, right? But now it's your responsibility and your opportunity to carry the mantle and change the future and the trajectory of your family. You've seen the cycle. Do you want to get off that hamster wheel? Do you want to, continue to ride it out? And I think that right there becomes the cornerstone of a lot of things. People just really getting out of their way to do the work, to not repeat old cycles that tend to be almost like family curse or generational what's the word? Generational curses.
Lewis, I agree with everything that you're saying. I really do. So one of the things that I do in my community, right? I'm a peer recovery coach. I hear everybody's talking about therapy, but part of that therapy is going through your trauma, right? And sometimes that is one of the lowest points in your life, right? When you actually have to relive the things that you may not even realize caused you to act a certain type of way. So it's what I'm saying is when you're acknowledging the things that our culture has experienced that nobody else have, not even just that, but maybe even some things that may have acquired throughout our childhood lives. You have to what I'm saying is give grace. And a lot of times, especially on podcasts, you might see people constantly pointing their fingers. That's why I'm trying to get you to understand. Sometimes it's not about just trying to hold somebody accountable. Get to know somebody's story first, right? Show them that compassion. You get more flies with honey than you do with shit. That's my whole point. A lot of times people be trying to be so combative to tell people, oh, you're wrong, you're this, you're that. But love covers a multitude of things. You'll reach people better like that. You'll reach the culture better like that versus men versus having a podcast full of black men constantly downing black women, or having a podcast with a whole bunch of black women constantly downing black men. Everybody has their place in a relationship or the culture to blame. That's my whole thing. I just don't think that we're against each other. I acknowledge the things that we've gone through, right? If you know where you came from, you can actually direct where you want to go. Acknowledge what we've been through, right? We're going to get past it. We're going to acknowledge it. We're going to get past it. We're going to recognize your traumas, and then that's move forward from it. But if you're constantly trying to tell people to kind of sweep over the shit that they've been through, that's not how that works. If anybody on this podcast or even in the comments, just take a look at what trauma actually does to your DNA and how your kids inherit those type of things, you will understand that that's not just a 1, 2, 3 type of thing. It's called epigenetics. That's my whole thing. I really like stuff like that. So I know that I try to lead with love. And once I've did that, I've been helping a lot of people in my community get off drugs, all of those type of things. I lead with love, but I hold them accountable after I build that relationship with them, not just point the finger and say, well, you gotta get accountability. I don't know your story. That's what I'm saying.
I appreciate what you're saying, Ash, and I think we're all trying to bring it together. I'll definitely say what I see a lot. Our community spends entirely too much time victimizing our circumstance in this country and the things that have taken place. I think that at this point, I've seen Amira pop up on this panel over the last year and a half, and almost every single time she's on this panel, somebody has to say, but you're not Black, or you don't understand the circumstance. And it becomes now a point to where, well, no, I think we just like to bond to that limitation. Mm-hmm. If we're going to take the power of the community and stand and hold credence to the men being, educated and strong and all those things, as well as the women, then I think we need to do that in fullness and stop victimizing and trying to create this gap to where the men of the community, the men on this panel and those who are listening, are trying to bring love in correction. A part of that comes from understanding that you're going to hear things that you may not always like, that you're going to also be guided and pushed in a direction that may be uncomfortable for you. And if you just so happen to be one that was not raised with your father, and you can't recognize it, because I think most brothers understand it is hard for the women to understand what love from a man looks like. You need to also be open to that. Instead of always hearing, hey, well, you know what it is, You know how the community is. We know that. So I think that at this point, there should be a development past that being a crutch, because I don't look at us as victims. And I digress.
All right, I'm going to go to Brittany because I know she was trying to get in before she did the switch. And then we'll go to Diane Ash. Go ahead, Brittany.
Yeah, the only thing I was going to say was I do think that at some point or another, once we become grown, we need to take responsibility for actions. We need to be held accountable. I agree that men should not necessarily have to train a woman or anything like that. But I don't know, at the same breath, I heard the men saying all these things about, I'm trying to gather my thoughts because I kind of lost my train of thoughts. It's something along the lines of, the whole tech thing and the whole train thing and just the negative connotation. I think just as much as you all respect, you have to give it as well. And it just doesn't seem mutual. It just doesn't seem like you all have that mindset. It's like you all can come in and be disrespectful to women, check them, and train or whatever, and all these things, but then you expect a woman to submit.
But Brittany, nobody.
Hold on. Let her finish.
That's all. It was just a misalignment. I really lost my train of thought trying to deal with this technical stuff, but that's kind of what I was trying to get at.
So, quick question. So, where did you tie, or how did you tie us men saying that, implying that us checking you is something that's negative?
It is. I don't care what culture, what community. I know.
Well, no. What did the men on the panel today say that would imply to you that checking a woman is something negative?
So checking has a negative. It's a universally negative connotation. It's not just a Black community thing. Like if you were, I don't want to get all technical right now, but just search it. Just look it up online. What does it mean to check someone? I don't think it's just a personal Black opinion or anything like that. And I'm only bringing this up because, True, I think you brought that up earlier. You're like, in our community, we kind of are sensitive and all of that. But if you look it up, if you look up what it means to check someone.
Right. So to check someone, it says to check is to examine something in order to determine its accuracy, quality, or condition.
Context.
Or to detect the presence of something.
The Urban Dictionary. You got to go to the Urban Dictionary.
Well, that doesn't make sense to go to.
Check the way you use it.
One mic.
It doesn't make sense to go to an Urban Dictionary, because if the urbanized part of the word is being,
because we're going down a rabbit hole. You're reading a definition right now that doesn't align with the context of what we were viewing. We were viewing the video about how Nelly had to check Ashanti because of her mouth. We're not talking about, let me assess, let me check this situation. We're talking about he had to check her because she was, kind of rowdy or whatever. And so
you just said that he had to, what your literal words just was that he didn't have to assess, and which that's actually what he did. So what? So where?
What other definition of check do you see? Because when you look something up, you're going to get multiple definitions, and it's going to give you multiple definitions because it's going to tell you to take into account the context. I know that there's another definition out there that says put somebody in their place.
I'm gonna tell you what ChatGPT says.
Yeah.
Prompt
too, Lapeef, because your prompt is important with ChatGPT.
I don't use it too often. I just put in checking someone versus correcting someone versus being a serve.
No, I put in there, what does it mean to check someone? What does it mean to check someone?
Well, I said, what's the difference between these three, right? So checking someone, this is often about calling someone out or holding them accountable for their words or actions. It can be direct and sometimes confrontational, but it doesn't necessarily aim to correct or guide them, just to make it clear that their behavior isn't going unnoticed. An example is, you said you were loyal, but your actions say otherwise. What's up with that? Number 2, correcting someone. This is more about providing the right information or guiding someone toward a better understanding. It's usually done in a constructive manner, but depending on the tone, it can come across as either helpful or condescending. 3, being assertive. This is about confidently standing your ground and expressing your thoughts, needs, or boundaries without being aggressive. It's more about making your position clear rather than putting someone in their place. So that's the difference.
So based on the definition, by what the man was describing on the podcast, is correction, because correction has an intention behind it. I think what y'all don't understand, what it's not always what y'all say on this podcast, is how you say it. Like, I feel like me being an adult in front of other kids, if I'm trying to get them to listen, understand, respect when I'm in there, if I have to check a kid and I want his behavior to change, I'm going to pull him out, and I'm not going to go tell other people, oh, I checked him. Or even if I have to correct my husband, I would never get on a podcast and be like, yeah, sometimes I have to check my husband. And I don't want my husband to talk about me in that manner either. I don't think that's cool. And it's like, I feel like what the Ash is trying to get through to y'all is sometimes y'all see our behavior in other cultures. Of course, they're going to see it as disrespectful because they were taught right. In our culture, a lot of us, men and women, because of when a lot of y'all, when I first got on here, I always take accountability for what y'all had to teach me. But there was some things that y'all didn't know how to check a woman. Y'all try to check, not y'all, but some men try to check women as if we're men. Don't check me like I'm a nigga. And don't check me like I'm a child. I am your wife. So although they may look the same, and although you have to play these roles with other people in your life too, sometimes you got to check your homeboys if he doing some wild shit that could put y'all life in danger. Men check people all the time, but it's the way y'all describe checking us, the examples that y'all give. A lot of the examples y'all give is to the extreme, like to the very extreme. But like I said, wait, let me close it out. One thing I'm going to tell you, as a woman, when we start to follow y'all have to realize, as a free woman, we give up our lives. We literally have to give up our dreams. But based on what y'all say with men, these are the men. When men are marrying a woman, this is the women they choosing. The woman that's willing to follow his lead, to say, hey, I'm going to put my shit on the back burner to take your direction in life. And y'all want us to do that, but the way y'all think about us and speak behind us, behind closed doors or behind our backs, is like, why would I give up my life just to be talked like this behind closed doors?
Di, can I ask you a question? If you're in a relationship, you have a man, and he is spending energy exalting you, bringing a certain level of admiration to you, and the setting is public, is that wrong?
No.
So why? Okay. So why, when certain things that require correction, now it needs to be private?
Oh, so now
no, it doesn't have to be quite private, but I'm saying the terms that y'all using. That's what makes it offensive. I think what we could talk about how we, interact with each other, but everybody knows, and y'all can act like y'all don't, or maybe you haven't been in like a hood setting, but when you use the word check, even in his description, it's not aimed to change something. You know what I mean? It's not aimed to, it's more so to get out your frustration with that person.
But that's
so,
right,
but because we know that, you know what I'm saying, as women, and just from our interactions with our peers, when you use it with your wife, it's like, why are you using that term with your wife?
But that's why I asked you specifically what I asked you, and I'm glad that you expounded upon that. When I started, I said that we could grow from interacting and socializing outside of our community, because you just went back to what I speak on a lot. We are socialized to interact with us in a hood setting. The hood is not a universal application in the world. You don't go and conducting your business from a hood perspective, but we always want to go back there. And that's why I say that it's dangerous a lot of times, because we limit our growth as a people. If you want that man to exalt you, in my opinion, in public, then there are going to be certain things that will require checking or correction, or whatever term you want to use, same setting. And I'm going off of what you said in far as children. And I think a lot of times women collectively, generally speaking, don't play sports, because one thing that men learn by interacting on a sport in sports capacities is that the same way you get that kudos is the same way you get correction. And sometimes we learn how to acquiesce based on what's being addressed in a public setting. I think women can honestly grow from that and learn from that. For whatever reason, we want to soften it when it comes to, and I think that this is just what I'm hearing. I don't think most men that care about you are ever going to put you in a negative light if he is a man of character and he's a solid man. But there are going to be times that words are going to have to be utilized, assertion is going to have to be utilized, and it's up to that woman to be mature enough to understand the difference. And if she doesn't, she needs to ask more questions.
Go ahead, Amir.
Can
I wanted to.
really
I wanted to speak
Let
to
me
Di.
get in there for a second.
Di said, Di, you said the men was talking about this checking in such a rough manner. You said the words that they use because you said they're checking you like men. But Di, did you notice something? When the men were talking about checking, the examples that they gave was Viz talked about come here, girl, something like that, something kind and sweet words. I said 3 ways to beat your wife and red cheek, and you didn't say anything about me. But
Because
the
you
men
said you were
here
just
in the-
playing. You said you were just playing. You corrected
yeah,
yourself.
but the men were so sweet. They were trying to speak about this in such a soft way, but even now you're still saying that they're using
No,
they were using hard.
No, Amir, not them, not the guys on this podcast. I'm saying when there's a disconnect, when these things happen, when men try to check women, in far as I feel like in my culture, that's just how I feel. I've even had to confront, just like they had to confront me about certain things. I would be like, okay, to y'all, it comes off as disrespectful, but I'm just ignorant. It's a difference between being ignorant and disrespectful. Your intentions is what causes something to be disrespectful. A lot of us have good intentions, but we are just ignorant. Ignorant is the process of not knowing. So when you're dealing with somebody that's just ignorant, you have to check them a different way than somebody that has bad intentions. And if you're checking her like she has bad intentions, as a woman, we will shut down. That's just it. And I've tried to explain this to the men on the podcast. Even if y'all use it on the women that's the most combative on this podcast, you will see a change, and I bet you would get your point through quicker, because they're expecting y'all to be like this, to be rowdy, because y'all like, we gotta get the discipline down. But we're also women. The same way when I speak to you, if I had to correct you, I'm not gonna correct you like I correct my homegirl. That's a woman. You're a man. So the same way you correct your homeboy, you shouldn't be correcting a woman like this, regardless if it's your wife or not. This is something we have to do in the community. I don't use this just with my husband. When I come across any man in the community, he could be a bum. I don't care. He could be a crackhead. I don't care. I'm going to show that man respect because he's a black man and he deserves it. And I'm looking to make a change. When it comes to us as women, love is a big thing for us. Affection, not just black women, this is just for women in general, and that is something we've lacked in our culture, just the same way that y'all lack respect, because the world didn't give it to y'all. They taught us not to give it to y'all. So that's what we're trying to say. The same way y'all feel like respect is important, empathy and love is equally important to us as women in our culture.
But that's some women do look at when a man is assertive, when he's, and again, checks is just a word. So when some people can get past the word and actually hear the message, especially when they know it's coming from a good place. I don't think that when somebody says the word, I don't even think he say I'm checking you. He just does it, right? Now, if a woman feels like it's being checked in, you probably have to go a little bit deeper, because it's probably suggesting something else. It's a reason why she feels that way. But a woman that wants to come up under the leadership of somebody, if you guys are married, you should feel that trust there, where you would know that your husband is not trying to check you in a disrespectful way. It's coming from a good place. But if you are married to someone and you're still looking at it as being checked, or you're still looking at it as being, he doesn't have my best interest, or he's trying to clip my wings, then you probably shouldn't be married to that person, because you guys are not aligned somewhere. So I think it's all about the mindset of the individual. Like you saying that women, that like they're seeking to be loved in a certain type of way when it comes to words. That's subjective because some women wouldn't see a problem with it, especially if they trust his leadership. Go ahead, Biz. I'm sorry.
I think Jr. said it best. Men typically don't even use the word check in their vocabulary. The problem is that women, black women in the hood, y'all made it cool and popular to say, who gonna check me, boo? Check who? So y'all women, black women, y'all are the ones that created this negative stigmatism around the word, because just now today in this whole conversation that we just had, none of the men, not even in the video, was there any negative kind of correlation to the word used. Y'all created this. Y'all created this negative correlation to the word when all of the men on the panel and even in the clip used it in the most softest way that we could use it. The biggest, in my opinion, the biggest issue and the biggest downfall that we've fallen to is embracing this victimhood. We just have to be victims. We can't let shit go. Oh, we've been through this, we've been through that, so this is the reason why we act like this. No, you are a grown ass person. There's no reason for you to be acting the way that you acting.
Period.
So it's the I get it. Yeah, okay. Maybe me personally, yeah, I lack empathy. I'm guilty of that.
What?
But that's because I'm realistic. There's no excuses for you to act like a child when you're a grown ass woman. There's no excuses for you to act like a child when you're a grown ass man. It's not on nobody else. Soon as you turn 18, nigga, you're an adult, and we expect you to conduct yourself in a certain manner. So I think if we let go of this whole, oh, it's a negative thing and all this other shit, and you just allow for this man to guide you and be the leader that you want him to be, then we won't even have this problem. But instead we're going with the, oh, I've been hurt, you don't know how to talk to me, I always had to fight and all this other shit. And it's like, if that's your man, there's no reason for you to even have to put up a wall or a barrier, because that's who you chose. So at what point do we take accountability in our own actions and stop blaming what you done been through 5, 10, 20 years ago?
I just want to say I don't have an issue with the word check. Like I don't, it's not that big of a deal as far as this topic. But I do realize that when I've had to help my friends and the women in my life around me, if you want to get through to them, you want to be effective. So if something small and simple as changing the word check could help you get your point across, what makes a big deal about that? It's certain things that y'all don't want to be called when y'all are going through y'all, whatever y'all, there's certain ways y'all want to be talked to, certain tones, certain words, can't ask too many questions, so forth and so forth. But when a woman says, and we are all like, well, most of them have told you. And when I see other women, even my friends don't want me to go and telling other people I had to check her. That's a cultural thing. So for y'all to act like that's just non-existent in our culture. And then something so small, it's like changing a word just to get your point across. Why do you have to use the word check if the definition is all that matters?
But we didn't use the word check. In the clip that was showed, it was two women talking. So again, I don't
but
understand.
Y'all decided to draw that part out. All the women, when the first two women spoke, they said my issue with what she said was the word check. The reason why is when you see most women talk about something, I like when my man check me. I like when my man check me. those women are usually a problem. What woman, real woman, is gonna go around like, I
Well,
like
I
when my
think-
man
I
text me
think
like,
Ash-
honestly,
I think Ash said
I
that.
want to woman.
Aisha, you the problem.
I actually want to
Aisha,
chime in.
you
and
the
say,
problem. You the problem,
both
Aisha.
of y'all are wrong. Honestly, Viv,
I know,
black
because you the
women.
problem.
I don't know who you're talking to, man, but I'm gonna ignore her.
That's Ashley. That's Ashley.
Oh, Ashley, you the problem. You heard what
I'm not
Nas
a problem.
said?
I'm a solution, okay? Anyway,
Oh, goddamn.
I'm gonna say this, Viv. So black gay men created that whole narrative and that saying, oh, who's gonna check me? That's a black gay man.
Who support black gay men? Who do black gay men mimic?
Let's not talk about that, but a multitude.
Who do black gay men mimic?
A multitude, right, of people support black men, support black gay people or just gay people in general.
Come
All right,
on, Ash, come on now.
But I
Come
don't
on,
listen, because I have gay family members. I have gay brother, whatever the case may be. Yeah, they may mimic. Some of them may mimic black women, but they don't always mimic them. Sometimes they have their own little. They have their own little slangs and a way of doing things, right? Because there are certain gay people in that community that do not necessarily agree with that say that's not how women act, right? That's how you can tell the difference between a gay man and a straight woman. It's a huge difference. That's right, they're extra. That's where that whole saying came from. Like, oh, who gonna check me? That's why you don't hear straight men saying that, because if a straight man said that to me, my ringers is going off. This man is gay. That's what I'm gonna say.
Okay, so black women have taken on the lingo of black gay men.
No, I'm gonna say some women, because it's not just black women who act like that.
Most women, yes, a lot of women do. Men leave the community, the gay community,
I just want to I want to sit here and say, let's just stop saying black women, like, because that shit is pissing me off. Look, no, it's not just black women.
They don't count part of the man community. Don't add them to us. Don't add them on to us, man. Don't do that.
Let me say this, right? If you go on my Instagram, you see me. I got Spanish friends, I got Asian friends, I got Indian friends, and a lot of them act the same exact way. It's not just a black.
I only say black people because it's my experience. That's it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because that's not my
other
experience.
cultures do other stuff that I don't know.
I hang around a whole bunch of people. For granted, right? I was raised by Caribbean parents, so to go to what True was basically saying, culture has everything to do with it. So my father and my mother, well, not mostly my mother, but my father wasn't able to identify the struggles that black men had to deal with in America, or the culture barriers that was placed, right? Because he didn't come from that. His parents didn't come from that. But once he had sons, like black American sons, and he wound up seeing like it's a difference. Some of the things that he had qualifications for that they didn't have, being born in America, that he had being an immigrant, he's seen a major difference, and he didn't understand that until he was able to distinguish between the two. So that's why I'm not trying to say that culture is a major thing, but it's a factor, and it plays a major role in how things are with a regular African American man and other black men who come from other cultures. I understand that, which is why once I started to see that for myself, I started to give you guys a lot more grace than versus just pointing the finger.
Grace for what?
At you guys, huh?
Grace for what?
For instance, right, when Di basically was saying like, some women was basically saying like how other culture of men was paying 100% of their bills or whatever the case may be. I understand that there was a system in place where black men have to work 10 times harder for that. So I don't expect my man even though he can do it, I don't expect him to pay everything and put all that amount of weight on him. You know what I'm saying? I don't mind working either. So it's just kind of like, for us to get ahead, both of us have to work. This is why the Asian Americans and the Asian Americans and the Indian Americans are amongst the highest paid in America, because both of them work in the household. It's he's the man, so he's gonna pay all the bills. They both fucking working. The Asian woman is working and the Indian woman is working. I can guarantee you that.
we didn't bring up the 50-50 conversation. That would
I
be
know. I said Di said that.
She
right.
brought that. She brought
yeah,
that up
she
to say
So-
she's give y'all grades, so why y'all
and
can't
that's
give
what
us
I was
grades?
Hold on, y'all. Let me get a
basically
mirror.
saying. That's what
Hold
I
on,
was
y'all. Let me get a
basically
mirror.
saying.
Let me get a mirror in there. Go ahead, Amir.
You guys talking about this money situation. Money. Listen, I see it a lot differently, and I know I'm probably not gonna be understandable to you, Di, and to you, Ash. But hear me out. I believe that if women got out of the workforce, that it would be 10 times easier for men to make money and to pay all the bills 100%. But women are making it harder because they're thinking, I got to get out there, I got to work. If you sat your tail home, if the majority of women sat their tails home, men would make more money naturally because it's overinflated. The workforce is overinflated.
Perfect.
So I see things a little bit differently, but I hear what you're saying, that you want to go out there and help the men and so on. But I think that if women got out of the workforce, it'll be a lot easier for men.
Amir, did you forget that we all keep telling you it's a lack of fathers in the household? So once we stop working, me and my baby gonna be in the shelter. Not me, but most of the women who's telling you
Well,
the
y'all got all
issues
kind of
stem
issues.
from the
Y'all
men
playing
not working in the household in the
table
first
ping
place.
pong
These
like a
are
motherfucker.
single mother homes.
But
These
you
are
had a baby
single mother
without.
homes.
But why did you
Again,
have the
like I
baby
said,
without?
the cultures is different. My father's Jamaican. My mother is Nigerian. Like I said, I grew up different. I see my mother work. I see my father cook. I see my father work. It depends on, like I said, the culture, and it depends on the couple and what those people and what they need. And my father had 7 kids. My father had kids outside of my mother as well. My mother raised all of them in the household, and we didn't lack for anything. But I saw my mother work, and I saw my father work. I just think that 2 incomes is better than one, especially when you are purpose driven and you guys are trying to cultivate. For me, I think that I feel like two incomes can meet that goal better than one.
I wanted
And
to respond to you regarding the Indian Americans. I think it was either Ash or Di who said Indians and Asians have. Oh, that was Ash. Okay, Ash said that Asians and Indians, they make more money and they're the highest earners. But you don't see them having this 50-50 thing. Most of them is that the man is paying and the woman is making the monies that's going into savings accounts and trust funds and university. Whatever money she makes is typically on the side. It's not a case where she's like, I don't know. I mean, I guess we just see things differently.
So
I mean,
planning for a rainy day.
not even, yeah, you could call it that. But go ahead.
If you walk forward, I'll have my friend Puvita, right? She's from Sri Lanka. She's Indian. I'll ask if she wants to come up here because we work together, right? She has a management position, and I've been friends with her for about 6 years. She's married. Her money doesn't go. She makes more than her husband. Her husband is, I think, a bartender or a waiter or something like that. They have a house. Their parents live with them. Well, her parents live with them or whatever the case may be, but it's not like, oh, the one, like I said, it depends on the couple. They still have
example.
They still have their culture values, right? But at the same time, her money is just not going into a savings. The house is in her name. They both collectively are making money, and they're both collectively paying bills. It's not just like
I hear
he's
you.
paying bills.
Okay, Ash. Okay, now that you got that scenario right, in your opinion, what makes more sense? The example that Amira is saying right now, to maybe put it up for savings, or whatever she's doing with it. Because when we get information, we got to see the logic behind it, and not just rally up behind something just because it's something. Like, what makes sense to you? If you had somebody that was in the same situation as your Indian friend, like, what would you do with your money?
Well, I'm gonna say what I would do with if I was in her situation, and what I'm doing now, which is kind of what I already put up out here the last time I think I was on this podcast or whatever. A portion of both our checks will go into the savings. That way, don't nobody feel like somebody is doing more or somebody is doing less. I don't know if people actually be honest, but sometimes there is a point in relationships, whether it's a platonic relationship, friend relationship, and sometimes a person can get a little jealous, especially a man if the woman is out working him or out earning him and putting more money into the bank account than he is. So for like I said, for me, we're both in my marriage, we're both putting money into the savings. That way, you know what I'm saying, we are able to accumulate those type of things, and when we both pass away, we leave our kids behind. So I think, like I said, it's both of us. We come with a goal like, hey, babe, this is he's still the man. Hey, babe, this is how much percentage we take it from the check after we pay the bills or whatever. We both putting this amount of money from our checks into the banking account, like every week or bi-weekly, however often we get paid. That's what I think is best to me, based off the scenario that you gave.
I got a question for the panel. So let's say, because I often hear this conversation about women being staying at home wives, right? Or whatever the case may be. So let's say she's in her career and she gets married at a later age, let's say 35 plus. Should that woman stop her career, stop her job when she becomes married, or should she still continue her career at that point? And why?
I think at 35, that's still young. Most people live to 100 nowadays. You're not even halfway through life. And I think we need more money in our 401k and our life savings so we can retire early. Let me work a little bit. But if my husband say he need me home and he want me to have these 3 kids because my clock is ticking, I'm gonna have to stay home and have them kids because I'm 35. Like, it's time for me to, I want some twins right now.
Well, let's say kids are grown. So it's just you and him.
At 35?
I mean, 35. I said 35 and up. So I just gave a range.
But if my kids grown, I'm gonna listen to my husband. Like a lot of the responsibilities are now minimized. Like the bills are minimized, the responsibilities are minimized. Right now, I think after we didn't live life, our kids out the house, we settle. I'm gonna do what my husband asked me to do.
Yeah, but I mean that could only take you so far, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure you would get bored. If you don't have no kids at the house, then what's your purpose of being in the house?
I could volunteer. I could do a lot of volunteer work, or I could find, if I want to take up a class, like go to school online or something like that, I could pick up hobbies. Like I hope a man don't want me just sitting at home. We both in each other's face. I hope he got some hobbies, some clubs, like not like dancing clubs, but like fan clubs, like maybe fantasy leagues or something like that. Like I hope he has something, or maybe he kick it with his cousins, or he likes to get up with his dad on Sundays, or I kick it with my family. Like you can do things, you know what I'm saying, or stuff around the house. Maybe he want me to decorate. We could build some stuff together. We could travel. Like there's other things. Like ultimately, Lapeef, to tell the truth, you would have to ask that question because you would be my husband, the one asking me to stay home. Like, if you do ask me to stay home, what would you be expecting me to do without any kids being at the house? The house is clean. We grown. What do y'all want me to do?
That's why bro been going to Chicago.
Okay. JR, you need to come to the basement. We need to have a one-on-one, brother, if that's the case. Hey. But no, let me say this. No, if the we ain't got no kid. No, let me say, if we got school-age kids, then more than likely she's gonna be working. You talking about you want to retire early? We're gonna get you there because we're gonna use 100% of your check into the retirement, and 100% of my check could go towards paying every bill in the house. Won't be a problem. So we're gonna get there a little sooner and faster. Now, instead of have to work till we're 65, now we cutting it off maybe 55. You know what I'm saying? Saving us some time and energy. And in the meantime, between time, we also go and enjoy each other. You know what I'm saying? We're going to have that free time. We're going to go and travel and do what we need to do in the midst of it. I don't have no problem. Look, like I said, I'm all about one pot. There's no rainy day fund. There's no get out of jail fund. I don't believe in that shit. Me and my wife don't practice that. I don't push that. I wouldn't push that on nobody, man. No, we're not doing that at all. So yeah, I'm all for one pot. So we're gonna figure this out together. And so if for some reason that she needs to slow down, or maybe even take a part-time job. She don't have to work a full-time job. If she want to work a part-time job, do that. At least, like you said, have something to do. But what we're not gonna do is just sit around the house and like this is what you're gonna take care of all day. Especially when ain't no little knuckleheads or rugrats are running around no more. No, we're not doing that.
No, I can understand that, but I mean, some women, because I don't think we really factor in that there's that trust issue. If they've been getting to the bag themselves for so long, and then they enter a marriage, there are some men that says that you need to be able to do whatever your husband needs you to do. But if they've already been doing that their entire lives, then does it logically make sense for a woman to be able to stop her career at that point, or does she have to be married for a certain amount of years and develop some type of trust, him put together a plan before she's able to stop that career?
I think
So,
fear plays a large part in that. Like
I want
fear.
to get some other folks in there
Oh,
too,
sorry,
y'all.
go
Make
ahead.
sure y'all share that mic. Let's get
so
True and Nash in there.
I actually did have this conversation. So I'm not sure if a lot of the viewers know whatever, but I was legally separated and we got back together in January. But so right. And I got a lot of stuff that's like basically popping off with like movies and podcasts outside of this or whatever, and doing like some like directing and things of that type of nature. And we kind of gave it a time frame, like, all right, if it don't pop out where you want it to, you get what I'm saying? I'm gonna just stop that, because I do have a goal and a vision for myself. So we gave it by like 39, 40. If it's not where I want it to be, then it's just like I'm gonna just kind of like wash my hands with it and call it quits, and kind of put more of my energy into his business, even though I do that, but it's not like full time. So um we kind of met each other halfway. We're just like, I'm still getting what I want, he's still getting what he wants, just putting like a time frame on it. That's it. I don't see nothing wrong with that.
Go ahead, True.
I don't know how to tackle this. Okay. I'll tackle it from this perspective. I think our community has a romanticized perspective on men handling, the finances, women having this soft life, or whatever term we're using now. And I think Amir kind of launched this perspective by saying that the landscape of how we go about living and how we share currently now in the workspace. I think I spoke to that actually the last time I was up here, and it proves a point. Coming from someone, I've been retired 4 years now. Retirement is not. Retirement just means you don't have to clock in. No, you get to own your time. That's all it means. And I think that sometimes we get caught up on this idea that was sold to us that as an adult, you're going to get to a point to where you get to coast. Maybe, but I really believe that's the way that things are set up. As an able-bodied adult, male or female, you're going to be working in some capacity. And I think that you and that man need to figure out what works best for your household. I think that for whatever reason, the women of our community covet this idea of being taken care of. And I think Ash touched on it earlier. I think that's a trauma response. I think that there's so much brokenness in this that it's hyper focused on, I need this man to come in and be Superman. I need him to come in and ultimately alleviate me from life, lift me off the ground, eliminate pressure. That's never going to happen. If you are an able-bodied adult woman and you have a good man, that man's going to put you to work. Work may look different for you. It may not be at the job, but like Amira was saying, she cleans all day. Then after she cleans, she may read. Then after that is whatever. So if you're always going to be in a servitude capacity to some degree. That's this idea that as a woman, I'm going to arrive at a place where I have to do nothing is a fallacy. It's a lie. And I digress.
comparison is the thief of joy. I don't understand the logic of how in this conversation, this 50-50 thing, we always bring up what other cultures are doing, as if y'all didn't talk to every single person in that culture. It's mind-blowing. This again goes back to the fact that everybody wants to be victims. It's so embedded in our culture that is insane. Do what works best for you. It's tough out here. We just went through probably the hardest 4 years financially ever. Me and my old lady, we was just looking at the credit card debts. It's through the roof over the past 4 years. Everybody is struggling, but yet somehow, some way, we as Black people, we're still the only ones talking about this 50-50 shit, and we're at the bottom of the totem pole. That makes no sense. So I say that to say this: do what works best for you. That's it. Stop worrying about what everybody else is doing. Stop worrying about what Susie and JoJo down the block is doing. Stop worrying about what Raul and his wife and who cares? Worry about your own.
I don't care.
Because the comparison is not going to get us anywhere. Me personally, I know how to make money, right? My old lady, she know how to manage it. We make it work. Who cares who pays the most and who? So what, bro? Let's get what we got planned and get it done so that we can achieve the goals that we want to and pour into our communities and pour into our families, instead of sitting back and having this conversation of, oh, well, black men, the only one talking about 50-50. Who cares? Let the shit go. Let's grow up, be adults, and worry about what's going on in your own household.
All right, I do want to squeeze this last little clip in for a second, man, and we ain't really got to talk about it, but just something to think about. Somebody can add some onto it if you want to, but in this last part of this dialogue, Ashanti expressed her joy in her marriage, and I don't think that's highlighted enough when we had these discussions as far as how beneficial and how fulfilling a marriage and a family can be. We always hear, and that's all the bad things about relationships, and then we never really get to the marriage aspect of it. So I do want to play a little bit of this clip just so we can get a little context of positivity that marriage ain't all that bad as we discuss and talk about.
Today, on a scale of 1 to 10.
On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm gonna give it about 1,000.
Yay! That's the best answer ever. 1,000. Is that every day?
I mean, it's not every day. Every day I'm grateful though. You know what I mean? You know, there's definitely disappointments and things that you want to happen that doesn't happen, but I am so genuinely happy and authentically myself with my family that whatever is not working, you roll it off and you move on.
Yeah.
Because the happiness outweighs it.
How important is that thing where you just said, like, finding somebody that you could be authentically yourself? Like, how important is that in the equation of happy?
Oh man, it's everything.
Yeah.
It's everything. You know, if I can't walk around without my wig, you know what I mean? Like, with your boxers on and, you know, just regular, that's not for me. You know, it's so important to just be authentically yourself and have your person, and you guys just get each other without trying. You know, obviously there's going to be things that you learn about each other, and there's things that you don't like, you know what I mean? But when you can get past whatever the flaws are and you genuinely have that love, that's like magic. It's magical.
My girl said 1,000. In real life, what do you pray for most?
In real life,
I'll just stop it there, man. So she seems to be enjoying the married life this time around. And in the earlier conversation, she expressed that she was young when they were dating, and then once she matured in the mind and got her mind right, then opportunity presented itself, and she seized the moment. So you guys can add something if you want to. I think Amir might get on. Yeah, Amir and Hank, the married folks on the panel, and Vid's on his way. And Ash is married to as well. Go ahead.
Okay, shout out to that. You married this week? Okay, shit. Shout out to you. I look at it like this, man. With what I'm seeing out here, what I'm hearing out here, man, I'm glad I don't have them issues, man. Shit, I'm glad I'm not in the field no more. You know what I'm saying? I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Now, some people say, "Hink, you crazy? Why would you want to get married after?" Okay, man, I understand why y'all feel that way, man. Because with the few women that y'all probably went out on dates with that you was interested in, and you thought you was interested in, and it turned out they not to be no damn good, it probably jaded you a little bit. And I understand. I mean, so if that's the case, that's the case. But man, if you look, fellas, if you find that right woman, man, you just got to get that right woman, man. And if you find her, man, you're going to look at things. If you're going to feel differently, man, you're going to act and talk and move differently. I promise you that. As long as you got one that's going to be on your side, who's going to fall up under your cover, even if you have to check, she won't take offense to it. She'll understand. You know what I'm saying? She'll probably be mad about the original, you doing it. But then she'll think about it like, I was on some bullshit. And then she'll acknowledge it and say, hey, my bad. I apologize for you had to check because it shouldn't have been the case, because I should have been doing whatever I was doing. But you know what I'm saying? Just vice versa, because she could check you. I could be on some bullshit. She could say something to me. I got to accept it and receive it like it is. It is what it is. But with that being said, man, hey, I encourage, man, if you find a good one, man, you find a good woman, and you feel like she's the one for you, don't put a ring on it. Don't put your woman out there. Don't fatten that frog up for these snakes to eat. Because please believe, if she's a good woman, one of these snakes gonna go snatch her up. I'll leave it there.
Want to add anything, Amir?
Marriage is, I'm happy for this woman. I don't know who she is, but I'm happy for her that she's found, I guess, happiness, which I don't even understand what that really means. What is happiness? Like, is it like a state of mind? Is it at the I don't know. Marriage, me being married, I never feel happy all the time. It's maybe she meant content. Maybe she's content with life. Maybe she's comfortable. I guess that's what she means, which is nice, I guess, to be with your husband. But marriage is it can be so hard, and the problems that come with it, and then also the good times, it's worth it. It's always worth it. But I think that a lot of times in marriages, the things that will test your marriage are outside forces, typically, because even you can have a great marriage with your person, your husband, your wife, but outside forces, they just find their way in sometimes. And I think that's what makes it hard. And I don't know, JR. With marriage, it's just, I almost want to cry, which is so weird because I'm never emotional. But I just think about her when she's talking about being this happy. I don't know what that means, but I know that for me as a wife, I just care so much to take care of my person, my husband, and to be available to him. And I just want to always be here for him. I always just want to be useful all the time. And I hope that maybe my marriage isn't as happy because I'm always feeling like I want to be useful. And I think for him, he just wants to be able to to provide a certain life. I mean, and I don't know about her. I don't know her finances or what is making her so happy in her marriage, but I'm glad that whatever she has, that she has it, and I hope it lasts for her. But yeah, marriage is such a beautiful heart thing.
I think everything that you just said is a part of that happiness, though. Being able to be useful. You know, if you're not useful, you're useless. And we as human beings, man and women, we're all here to serve. So in the beginning of that clip, or the first clip that I saw at least, she explained how excited and happy she was to be a wife and a mother, right? So these are things that are innately in us to want to be. Men, I would think, want to be a husband and a wife, a husband and a father to a person that they love, and of course it being reciprocated. So I think that those are the things that adds or brings the happiness, because she's extremely successful. She's been successful for years, decades, right? So she's probably had everything that she could probably possibly have or want, and now she has this thing of family, where it may bring wholeness to her. But I think that, to your point, absolutely, marriage is work. Anything worth having is going to be difficult. I think we also ignore the fact that even as individuals, there's times that you struggle with yourself. There's times that you struggle with your brother, your sister, with your mama, your daddy. So of course you're going to experience some type of struggle with your spouse. So is 100% work. And I think I said this on the last time that we was on the show, that I seen this beautiful video of an older couple in their 80s, and somebody was recording them like interacting with each other, and the caption said, "I wonder how many times that they forgive each other to get there." And that alone is a beautiful thing, because again, that's what life is all about. It's about growing and creating memories that's long lasting, and hopefully for you to check out of this motherfucker with this person, you know. So I think that the internet has shitted on marriage so much that people uh truly forgot what it means, what it feels like, the value of it, what it brings. Now, I think that we need to get back to that, much rather than the individualism that we experience. So, me personally, I'm looking forward to spending the rest of my days with my wife, because I find it exciting. It's beautiful, and I think that we got to get back to appreciating it, and giving people their flowers that are married.
You got any final words, True?
Um, oh shit, you said true.
But
I,
it could be True, Ash. I mean, just
go
going
ahead,
on.
Ash. Go ahead.
Okay. Hink, don't be throwing no shade at me. I just want to say that I caught it. But but I agree with some things Amira said and some things Viz said. Um, I got married very young, 19. Um, so the things that I know now, like in my 30s about marriage and kind of going through a separation, one of the things that allowed me and him to come back together was forgiveness. We were so busy kind of like pointing out what the other one wasn't doing or who's doing more or whatever, and it became like a place where we weren't friends anymore, you know, and we lost sight of what was really important. So this time around, we're friends. We talk about everything, which is why we have a more well balanced marriage this time around, where we're both heard. He don't have to raise his voice. He don't have to tell me more than once. I can pick up on cues and things of that type of nature. And prior to that, was just like I was kind of doing like a lot, like to kind of distract me from the fact that I didn't have a partner. Y'all was dating, that was fun, but when it all settled down, everybody wants their own person, and it's nothing like having your own person that understands you, that accepts you and loves you for who you are, flaws and all. There are days where you're not going to be 100% happy, but you're still happy. And like Amira said, it's just the when you in love with somebody, it's a selfless type of act. Like you put yourself last. You're still first, but you put yourself last. You're serving. But when it is a give and take type of relationship, when one hand washes the other, that type of marriage makes you happy, knowing that somebody is looking out for you the same way that you're looking out for them. Like I got you just like you got me. You're gonna, it's not just one sided. And this time around it is like that, and I'm super happy. And I don't know. I just feel like what we went through kind of just made us stronger and just proved the test of time. Like, all right, you know what? This is your person, Ashley. Y'all not perfect. Y'all went through y'all shit. Y'all, got the experience that y'all got out on the outside world or whatever, and realized like, nah, this ain't it. So I don't know. I love it.
All right. Go ahead, True.
Congratulations, Ash.
Yeah, definitely. I think that because of who she is, she at one time was one of the most popular R&B stars of an era. She has a lot of eyes on her, and we do give a lot of attention to our celebrities. That's just kind of how it goes. And she decided to marry Nelly, and that's beautiful. But I think what resonated with me from what Amir said was relationships, marriage. Maybe without her saying it, this is me injecting words. It's difficult. It's work. It's not always easy. I know she struggled to use the word happiness, and I think that is the disconnect in maybe cultures, Americans and globally. A lot of times when you spend time with people outside of America, you'll hear them talk about relationships in the same capacity, in the same way, because there is an understanding that two is better than one. There's an understanding that the connection necessary for sustainability in life requires an investment from myself, and then from her, and then from family. And Americans have a very singular, independent perspective. So it makes relationships seem harder and we're making it harder on ourselves. So I think that I'm glad that Ashanti arrived at a place to where she chose to choose Nelly, and he chose her at their celebrity because they didn't have to, and that they're walking through it together. I think that we collectively as a community probably can start to look at life, from Hink's perspective, Viz's perspective, JR's perspective, Amir's perspective, Di's, and figure out what it is that we want to create in our own individual lives as well as a community. Relationships are not all rainbows and sunshine. Dealing with another person is work. But I think if you're willing to put yourself in that, you'll come out the other side better. And I digress.
All right. Anybody else got any final thoughts? Think you good?
Yeah, I'm good. I think I said what I need to say. Let me get one more final thought for you, for us black men. Black men protect themselves at all times. Where you got to get on somebody's couch or somebody's Zoom meet, you do what you got to do for your mental. Hey, make sure you get your A1C in order. Make sure you go out there and get a full physical, man. Take care of yourself. We only get one shot at life. And for a man of a certain age like KR, myself, and Via's old ass, make sure you get a colonoscopy and a prostate check, man. Colon cancer's a motherfucker, man. Let's conquer the world one day. We got to do it one day at a time. But we can't do it if we ain't here for it. So do what we got to do for you as far as your health.
All right. Anybody else?
Just love your person. I always tell my friends this because we still in the dating process, and I do find that a lot of women bring up happiness a lot and try to be happy all the time. It's not about being happy all the time, but it's about being at peace. And yeah, y'all might argue, y'all might fight, you might not always be happy, but the way y'all fix those mistakes, and it's y'all against the problem, not y'all against each other, that'll probably motivate you to keep going and realize, okay, this is the problem he's bringing up. And it's not he's attacking me, but we're attacking the problem. I think that's very important. And I think that's what Ashanti was kind of touching on, because she's like, it's not 1,000% all the time, but even it's like, I feel like when you get to a point of love, it's like, even after the arguments, it's like, okay, we did good this time. Like, I know we just yelled at each other, but we did good. Or it's like, oh, I'm mad, but then now y'all favorite TV show about to come on, and it's like, you still mad at me? We finna watch this tonight or not? So it's like, yeah, you got to embrace it all in order to really understand what real love is, because I think it was Lapeef or Viz who said, I think it was Viz, love comes in different forms. And if you look at all the relationships in your life, whether it's your friends for 20 years, your sister, your brother, your mother, your mom, whoever it is, it all took work. It all had unhappy moments. It had moments where you just was like, I'm not going to be your sister no more. And it's like, damn, I got to be your sister. So it's like, yeah, you got to find that person that's worth it. And I think a lot of women have to stop going by a checklist and be like, dang, is he worth putting this effort into? Does he make my days that much different? And I think that's what matters.
All right. Thank you for that, Miss Di. My final thoughts is this. If you can show me a perfect world, sign me up.
Seriously.
But the truth is, perfection has never existed. So why do we expect marriage or any part of life to be flawless? Life is work. Relationships are work. And if you're not willing to put the effort, then maybe it's not for you. But ask yourself this. If not that, then what? What are you going to do? Nobody wants to grow old. But if that's the road you choose, then more power to you. The real challenge in life isn't about chasing happiness. It's about finding fulfillment. Happiness is fleeting. We always say that on the panels, right? But true enjoyment comes from purpose. And our purpose is not about serving ourselves. I've said this plenty of times. Our purpose on this earth is to serve others. When you wake up each day, ask yourself, who am I here to serve? Because the strength of your tribe, the depth of your connections, and the impact you leave behind, that's what truly defines a life well lived. And on that note, man, we out, man. I want to thank everybody that has tuned in tonight. Do me a favor, hit that like button. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And with that being said, we are out. Thank you, guys.